Important update about YouTube playlists. Hey everyone. We've received many messages asking why our YouTube playlists aren't showing up. Do we create YouTube playlists? Yes, we absolutely do. So why can't you see them? Honestly, we're not sure. We've been in contact with YouTube support for several months now, but we still haven't received a clear answer or solution. After much discussion, our team has decided to take matters into our own hands. We believe the issue might be related to the number of playlists we've created on a single channel, possibly too many. Our solution? We're launching 2 additional YouTube channels, giving us a total of 3. This way, we can organize our audiobooks better and avoid the playlist visibility issue in the future. This change only affects our YouTube audience. If you're a patron supporter, you can still access all our audiobooks by visiting the collection menu on Patreon. Thanks so much for your time and continued support. Happy listening. You should go to the people who know you best. Rinji said. People who know us best. Tanuma thought for a moment. Yeah, especially girls who tend to see things from a girl's perspective. Girls who know us. Oh, I got it. Tanuma clapped his hands. Shijo-san, right? Exactly. Shijo Maki is a perfect choice. She hangs out with you all the time and knows both of you really well. Plus, she's apparently best friends with your girlfriend, Kashiwagi Nagisa. She likely knows what's going on. Right. Why didn't I think of that? Tanuma jumped up in excitement. Coming to the student council was the right move. Rinji, you always give such solid advice. You're welcome. The student council is here to solve student problems. But try solving your relationship stuff yourself next time. Thank you so much. Tanuma said gratefully. I'm gonna go ask Maki now. Go on. Watching Tanuma's retreating figure, Rinji nodded with satisfaction, unaware he'd just thrown someone else under the bus again. Looks like that's resolved. Huh. Rinji, you don't really look like someone good at handling love problems. Fujiwara commented. I'm not. But I'm still the only one in the council with a girlfriend, so my rank is clearly higher than yours. Click. The door to the student council opened and Ishigami walked in. What's up? I just saw Tanuma-senpai rush out in a hurry. Ishigami said, glancing out the door. He came for relationship advice. TCH, showing off again? Since the beginning of the semester, after Tanuma came to show off his summer love life, Ishigami had been annoyed with him. Oh no, apparently he had a fight with his girlfriend. Serves him right. I thought so too. By the way, where's the president? Haven't seen him. I think he is dealing with stuff for the sports festival. It's coming up soon. Ah, right, the sports festival. Ishigami seemed to remember something. He pulled out a neatly folded A4 sheet from his pocket and handed it to Rinji. This is the application for the cheer squad I filled out earlier. Just write your name and it's done. Oh. Rinji grabbed a pen from Shiragane's usual desk and quickly scribbled his name. Hey Ishigami, why are you suddenly joining this kind of thing? You usually avoid group events. Part of it is to fix your image. Wouldn't make sense if I dragged you in but didn't participate myself. Ishigami sat down on the couch. Besides, it's time for me to change. I used to think the people who screamed their lungs out for athletes were just hyper-idiots with nothing better to do. But now, I realize I was naive. If I'm not willing to try, what right do I have to mock those who do? Well said. Rinji patted Ishigami's shoulder. Let's work hard together. Chapter 308, The Gym Storage Room Incident. As for the sports festival events, if you have any suggestions, feel free to share. Let's brainstorm before it starts. During homeroom, Ino stood at the front of Class 1B, addressing the students. At only 147 centimeters tall, the podium almost reached her chest, making her look comically cute. Japanese high school sports festivals have all kinds of events, many of which don't exist elsewhere. For example, log pulling battle, one team defends a giant log while the other tries to topple it. Lots of body contact. Tug of war, fairly standard. Borrowing race, each class sends a runner. They dash to a box with slips listing objects or people, find what's written, and bring it back. Three-legged race, pairs tie one leg together and race. Tests balance and coordination. Bread-biting race and cavalry battle, classic chaos. Can't you guys pick something more normal? Don't say weird stuff. This is all tradition. At his desk, Ishigami stared blankly at the empty suggestion sheet. Apparently, the school wanted to add new events this year, so each class was submitting votes. Did the school give any requirements? Just that it should be a group activity. A group event, huh? I think I've got it. Whenever you say that, I'm convinced you've misunderstood something again. Ishigami muttered as he jotted down his own ideas. Oh right, parents are allowed to attend this time. Are your parents coming? Who knows? Maybe, maybe not. They might send someone else in their place. Neither of them has much free time. They're busy with work? No, busy traveling. Rinji replied. They go to the weirdest places and bring back even weirder souvenirs. Like white-haired robots or gem-encrusted gloves. Totally bizarre. What kind of places do they even go? I dunno. All sorts. I used to tag along when I was little. As he spoke, Rinji finished writing down his suggestion. Done. What did you write? Ishigami leaned over to peek. Written on the paper, brawl. I think Ano's gonna get mad. I think it fits the school's group activity requirement perfectly. No, the school's not gonna allow students to start a fight just because it's a group event. BC. Just then, Rinji's phone vibrated. He pulled it from the drawer and saw it was a text from Shire again. Emergency, Rinji. Rinji frowned and replied. What happened? I got trapped while organizing the gym storage room. The door is locked from the outside. Wait, you're locked in the gym storage room? Alone? No, not alone. Shinomiya is here too. Rinji began to think. A guy and a girl locked inside a gym storage room. This kind of scenario. If it were just Shire again locked in there, Rinji would have gone to rescue him already. But if Kaguya was in there too. Ishigami, can I ask you something? What? If a boy and a girl get locked inside the gym storage room, what do you think would happen? Oh, that? It's a common trope in romance games and anime. Ishigami said while writing on the event suggestion sheet. It used to show up a lot a few years ago. Boy and girl go to the gym storage room, and then some random person sees the door slightly open, thinks nobody's inside, and locks it. Then, inside the sealed room, the boy and girl develop feelings for each other due to the suspension bridge effect. Total cliché. Develop feelings, huh? Why are you asking this all of a sudden? No reason. Rinji replied while typing a message. Got it, President. I'm on my way now, thanks, huge help. Rinji pocketed his phone, stood up, and headed for the door. Ishigami, can you help me hand in the suggestion slip? I need to step out for a bit. Huh? You want me to turn in this slip that says brawl to Ano? Hey, wait. Before Ishigami could finish, Rinji had already left the classroom. Half an hour earlier. They seriously want us to inventory the gym storage now? Well, the sports festival is coming up. Shirigane and Kaguya had been asked by the school to check the equipment in one of the older gym storage rooms behind the school, tucked away in a small grove. The storage room was clearly ancient. Run down and completely out of place in the prestigious Shuchin Academy. The dim lighting gave it a horror movie vibe. This rope still looks usable. That's why we're here. Some of this stuff hasn't been touched in decades. Better get rid of anything dangerous. The two of them were checking how much of the equipment could still be used. More than the gear, I think the building itself is a problem. Shire again joked to Kaguya. If we got locked in here, we wouldn't even be able to call for help. Ha ha ha, no way. Kaguya chuckled as she reached for the door handle. Clack clack. The door was locked shut. Whether from deterioration or someone intentionally locking it, the two of them had just triggered the infamous gym storage room event. Bang bang bang. Anyone out there? Open the door. Shire again pounded on it. No response. He tried pulling, but the door didn't budge at all. It's no use. Did you bring your phone? No, I left mine in the classroom. Then I'll just use. Just as he reached for his pocket, a thought hit him. Damn. I forgot mine too. Chapter 309, This guy's reading comprehension is always spot on. What do we do now? We're stuck in here? So scary. Someone help. Inside the dark, abandoned gym storage, Shire again shouted loudly while Kaguya crouched and sobbed into her hands, seemingly thrown into panic by the sudden turn of events. Of course, that was just how it appeared. While yelling, Shire again snuck a glance at Kaguya, a smug smirk tugging at the corner of his mouth. Humphrey, I know you too well, Shinomiya. It's obvious we're not really trapped. You're probably trying to trigger the suspension bridge effect with this setup. That crying? So fake it's obvious. With that thought, he kept hamming it up, muttering exaggerated lines like, oh no, what a disaster. Now's the time to play along. Act nervous, then make my move on her. Meanwhile, Kaguya. Boo. I'm so scared. Even though her face was hidden behind her hands, her eyes sparkled with amusement. So cute, President. Using such a clumsy trick to get me alone in here. You really wanted someone on one time, didn't you? Neither of them took being locked in seriously. Both assumed the other had orchestrated it. Which, of course, was the real danger. Because yes, the door was truly locked from the outside, and no, it wasn't part of a plan. Oh. President must be aiming for the suspension bridge effect. The timing's way too convenient for this to be an accident. Kaguya tugged at the door, confirming it really wouldn't open. Pretty thorough planning. But since the president is taking the initiative for once, I guess I'll play along. Ah. President, I'm so scared. Damn, what should we do? Both were acting. Both had terrible acting. So caught up in trying to read each other, they completely overlooked the fact that they were actually stuck. President. Kaguya put on a bashful look and gently tugged Shiragene's sleeve. You don't think we'll be stuck here forever, do you? Don't worry. I'm here. Tugging my sleeve to play the damsel in distress? A little too obvious, Shinomiya. Now's the perfect chance for him to make his move. You must be thrilled, right, President? It's not even a real crisis. ×2, unfortunately. It really was. Half an hour later. Shirogane and Kaguya sat shoulder to shoulder on a mat, Shirogane's jacket draped over her shoulders. The incident had brought them just a tiny bit closer. TCH. Kaguya sure is patient. It's been half an hour. If no one checks in soon, people are going to start misunderstanding. Why hasn't the president made a move yet? Ugh, damn it. I really should try harder. Shirogane muttered as he stood and pulled on the sliding door. Still stuck. But with a keen eye, he noticed something through the thin crack. There was a small stone jammed in the track outside. No way. This wasn't some scheme by Kaguya. We're actually locked in? Panic hit. He glanced at the bashful Kaguya still sitting on the mat. He knew the logical thing to do was call a friend to help them out. He reached for his phone. Then stopped. No. If I make a call now. Shirogane's imagination. Oh my, President. So you did have your phone this whole time and just pretended not to? You wanted alone time that badly? Kaguya stared with teasing eyes, whispering, you're adorable. End imagination. No way. I'd rather die in here than let that happen. Shirogane crouched in despair, clutching his head. No. Kaguya's here too. Now's not the time to be embarrassed. If we wait until school ends and everyone leaves, we really won't be able to get help. I have to act now. But if I mess this up, I'll die socially. His brain worked overtime. Right. If I can't call, I'll text. Just say I happen to be in the area. But who would go along with the act? He ran through his options. Fujiwara Chika? No way. She'd turn it into tabloid fodder. Macho? Definitely not. She'd assume they were doing something indecent. Ishigami Yu? Maybe. Takuman Rinji. Yeah. Rinji's the most reliable. Having made up his mind, Shirogane pulled out his phone from Kaguya's blind spot and sent a message. After Rinji replied, he continued texting, when you show up, pretend you just happened to be passing by. Don't say I contacted you, got it, President? I'll make sure no one finds out. No one finds out? What's that supposed to mean? Is he going to sneak the door open? Just then, a blinding white light flashed through the door crack. It lit up the entire dark gym storage from just that tiny slit. A few seconds later, the light vanished. President, what was that just now? No idea. Right then, Shirogane felt a vibration in his pocket. Knowing it was Rinji's reply, he walked to the door and pretended to test it while actually checking his phone. President, all done, huh? Shirogane froze for a second, thinking Rinji had already opened the door. He tried pulling it. It didn't budge. Not even a crack. Did you really unlock the door? Nope. I never planned to open it. President, you must be trying to trigger the suspension bridge effect and win over Miss Shinomiya, right? I understood immediately, so I made sure to prepare everything in advance. What did you do? Shirogane felt a chill creeping up his spine as cold sweat dripped from his forehead onto the phone screen. I welded the door shut. I also hung a keep out sign outside the door. I'm sure no one will be stupid enough to approach. You can continue with your plan, President. Come save me right now. Chapter 310, Ishigami, you set me up Private Shuchin Academy, second year building, club room. Afternoon. After filling out the support club application form that Ishigami handed him, today was the day Rinji would attend his first support club meeting with Ishigami. This is my first time joining something like this. Same here. Ishigami Yu and Rinji headed toward the club room. The support club performs during the sports festival. Cheering, dancing, or sometimes singing. Since the content changes every year, a meeting was necessary to plan this year's theme. Click. The door opened, and after greeting those inside, Rinji and Ishigami stepped into the room. The desks had been arranged into a circle, and the club members sat waiting. While Ishigami didn't draw much attention, all eyes turned to Rinji. Many with subtle unease. What Rinji did during the student council election was still fresh in everyone's minds. You two must be from Class 1B? Takuman-kun and Ishigami-kun, right? Welcome to the support club. Just as the mood started to freeze, a girl cheerfully broke the silence. A third-year upperclassman. Her short pink hair was swept to the side by a black ribbon, revealing her clean forehead. Her vibrant tone and friendly aura immediately made her likable. Her name was Koyasu Tsubaime. A popular beauty in Shuchin Academy. Many male students join the support club just to make a good impression on her. Hello, Koyasu-senpai. I'm not late, am I? Not at all. Come on in. She smiled warmly, casually hooked Rinji by the arm, and led him to a seat, gently pressing him down to sit. Her easygoing, playful nature and striking appearance made her well known and admired throughout school. After Rinji sat down, Ishigami took the seat on his left, while to Rinji's right sat a classmate. Onodera. The usually expressionless blonde Jiaru stared at Rinji in shock. Why are you looking at me like that? Are you insane for joining the cheer club? Ishigami invited me. Said it'd help improve my reputation or something. Well, he's not wrong. But with your current reputation, joining group activities might be. You mean I'm asking for trouble? I didn't say that, but. Expect some side-eye. Just like Onodera said, many first-year students in the room watched Rinji with suspicion. Ignore them. You really don't care what others think? That's kind of enviable. Once everyone arrived, Rinji and Onodera stopped chatting. The club president was a third-year named Kazeno, a muscular guy whose build stretched his school uniform tight. Rinji was envious of his physique. Though he hadn't stepped into a gym for months. After some discussion, I'll be the president and Koyasu will be the vice president. Okay. Support that. Awesome. Rinji. As the room suddenly became lively, Rinji felt out of place. Most support club members are normies. Popular, outgoing, and surrounded by friends. Ishigami explained, seeing Rinji's confusion. They're also usually top students. Oh, right, your first year second rank. Aside from Rinji and Ishigami, who clearly didn't fit in, the rest of the students had already gathered at the blackboard, enthusiastically scribbling down sports festival slogans like Burn Bright, True Crimson Team. And the Wind Forest Fire Mountain Squad is hype. All stuff Rinji couldn't comprehend. Even worse, they clapped and cheered for each other's ideas like they were having a blast. Ishigami, will this really help improve my reputation? Rinji said, deadpan as he watched the energetic group. I'm already seen as a villain. I don't want people thinking I'm an idiot too. They say this is how it's always done. Most of the support club members were stylish, trendy types who spoke in the latest slang. Rinji's Japanese was proper and clear. But that didn't help with slang and buzzwords. The two of them sat like outcasts. Awkward and isolated. Hey, Ishigami, let's quit now while we still can. Let's observe a bit more. At that moment, President Kazeno wrote down a slogan on the blackboard, aiming for something creative. Wind Forest Fire Mountain, the real most hype. Insta shiny crimson team. This'll be the official slogan. Nice. Quick, post it on Insta. Let's club off for today. Meaning, let's take a break from club duties, Rinji. I don't get any of this. Feeling disconnected from the group was miserable, especially since they'd likely have to train together soon. The more he thought about it, the more quitting seemed like the right move. What do you think, Ishigami? Should we leave now? Yeah, okay. The two Shutten misfits stood up, ready to go. Oh, right. About the uniforms. Kazeno suddenly said. He drew two stick figures on the board, a boy in the girl's school uniform, and a girl in the boy's uniform. Above them was written, did we switch bodies or something? This year's support uniform will be, boys wear the girl's uniform, and girls wear the boy's uniform. Borrow what you need from classmates. Whoosh. Ishigami, who had stood up, suddenly sat back down and forced Rinji into his seat too. Hey. Ishigami, you. Sorry, Rinji. I just realized. We shouldn't waste our youth drifting through high school. We need to participate in group activities. Chapter 311, Don't judge people behind their backs. I'm leaving. Don't go. As soon as he heard about the uniform plans, Rinji stood up to leave. Ishigami clung tightly to his waist to stop him. Let go, Ishigami. I'm not wasting time in this place. Please think it over. We have to join group activities if we don't want a lifeless high school life. I'm not wearing a girl's uniform. Their scuffle drew the attention of the others at the blackboard. Everyone turned to look in confusion. What's wrong? No fighting, okay? Koyasu quickly stepped in, seeing the scene. By then, Rinji had broken free from Ishigami. He straightened his collar and turned to Koyasu. Sorry, Koyasu-senpai. I don't think the support club suits me. Please allow me to withdraw. Koyasu panicked at his sudden declaration. Wait. What happened? Why do you want to quit all of a sudden? While Koyasu looked worried, some other students coldly watched from the sidelines. Honestly, most of them would rather Renji leave. The club would run fine without him, and his presence only added pressure. It's just, I can't accept wearing a girl's uniform. I see. As soon as he said that, all eyes shifted to Renji's face. Despite his reputation, there was no denying his handsome appearance. In fact, among second and third years, he had some popularity. If it weren't for his frequent controversial behavior, even as an outside transfer student, he could have been wildly popular. Now, these students were all secretly hoping to see what he'd look like in a girl's uniform. Come on, Takumin-kun. Think it over. Yeah, the support club wouldn't be the same without you. You're part of us now, you know. Suddenly, everyone started trying to convince Renji to stay. Aside from his past fights and threats during the student council election, one of his most famous traits was that face. See? Everyone wants you here. Koyasu stepped forward, gently took Renji's hand, and smiled. Please stay in the club. Absolutely not. Let it go, Koyasu-senpai. If Takumin doesn't want to stay, we should let him go. At that moment, Onodera Rei, who had been chatting with her friends about after-school plans, walked over and spoke to Koyasu. Some things just can't be forced. You're right. So, Takumin, a real man can show his masculinity regardless of outward appearance, as long as he doesn't change inside. Onodera suddenly shifted the topic. Are you unsure about who you really are? Huh? Several veins popped up on Renji's forehead. Damn it, I got tricked. Renji sat on the student council room's couch, clutching his head in frustration. Provoked by Onodera's words, he had ended up agreeing to stay in the cheer squad. Tsubame was overjoyed that he stayed and even added him online, dragging him into the cheer group chat. The cheer group was filled with extroverts who frequently posted photos of outings or parties. People with full social lives. In contrast, people like Ishigami and Renji, who rarely went out, were the complete opposite. Isn't this great? Participating in events like this could finally improve your reputation. Ishigami said bluntly, sitting across from Renji. I've never cared about my reputation. Then why are you afraid of cross-dressing? Don't you not care about your image? Renji turned his head and stared up at the ceiling at a 45-degree angle. Because this touches on my dark childhood memories. Tell me the details. No. Also, how dare you set me up? Get out. Don't get mad. I didn't know the cheer squad would pull this kind of move. Ishigami shrugged. By the way, who are you planning to borrow the girl's uniform from? Probably Momo-senpai. I'll try asking. Renji sighed. What about you? I haven't decided. Honestly, asking a girl for her uniform feels like a death sentence. I just know they'll look at me like I'm trash. Ishigami had no confidence in this mission. And yet you still dragged me into the cheer squad? How brave of you. Because there's something I really want to see. Huh? Nothing. Ishigami immediately changed the subject. Still, borrowing a girl's uniform requires some consideration since we're the ones wearing it. You have a point. Who do you think I should ask? Shinomiya-senpai's, probably. Ishigami replied. Her chest is pretty flat, so the uniform won't look obviously off when worn by a guy. Someone like Fujiwara-senpai is definitely out. With her bust size, a guy in her uniform would just look ridiculous, ha ha ha. Ishigami. What is it? Turn around. Behind me? Ishigami turned and saw Fujiwara Chika and Shinomiya Kaguya standing right behind him, glaring at him dangerously. Ishigami felt like he was about to die. As he trembled, Fujiwara walked silently to the side, pulled out some old newspapers from the student council cabinet, wrapped them with tape into a makeshift paper fan, and approached Ishigami. Ishigami. Why yes. Whap 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 whap. The fan slammed relentlessly into Ishigami's head. Huff. Huff. After throwing the fan aside, Fujiwara wiped the sweat from her forehead. I'll let you off this time. Much appreciated. That was quite the scene, Ishigami-kun. Kaguya looked at him with a smile so warm it sent shivers down his spine. If it were anyone else, you wouldn't have been forgiven so easily. Ishigami felt like his life was nearing its end. Yeah, Ishigami, you really shouldn't talk about girls behind their backs. Renji said calmly. It's rude. Renji-kun is right. Though. Renji added suddenly, for the record, Shinomiya's uniform would still feel tight around the chest for most guys. Takumin. Renji. Chapter 312, The Real Culprit Momo-senpai, there's something I'm not sure whether I should ask. Ask. I want to borrow your school uniform. What do you plan to do with it? Wear it. On the rooftop, Ryuju Momo stared at Renji like he was some kind of rare creature. Why are you looking at me like that, Momo-senpai? How should I put this? I always had a feeling this day would come when I looked at your face, but now that it's actually here, I'm still a little surprised. I should explain. This was a decision made by the sports festival cheer squad. I got trapped by a classmate and walked straight into it. Renji clenched his teeth again at the thought. She said the same thing my dad used to say. Thinking back, falling into that trap was a huge disgrace. You know, you could still say no if you really don't want to. No. I've decided to accept the challenge. Renji's eyes sharpened. Growth means overcoming your immature past. Unlike my dad, who tries to run from his dark history, I will prove through my actions that I've left those shadows behind. I'll show the world that even if my appearance changes, a real man remains a real man. Alright then. Good luck. After all that, will you lend me your uniform? Sure. That's great. Renji grinned. You're not going to do anything weird with it, right? Momo suddenly asked. Are you questioning my character? I'd never do such a thing. Renji said righteously. Besides, I already have a girlfriend. Okay, then I won't lend it to you. Huh? For some reason, Momo didn't lend Renji the uniform in the end. But it wasn't a big deal. Renji had other ways to make one himself. As he walked through the school hallway, heading toward the student council office, he planned to find some fabric to use. Renji. Just as he exited the school building, a voice called out to him. It was Hayasaka Ai. She walked up to Renji, then stood with her hands behind her back. I've heard about the cheer squad situation. Even you? Renji blushed slightly. Knowing that Hayasaka was aware he might be wearing a girl's uniform for the sports festival made him feel a little ashamed. Yes, Kaguya-sama told me. You're not here just to verify the info, are you? You could say that. Hayasaka smiled. I heard cheer members need to borrow uniforms from other girls. I happen to have a spare you can use. Ah, that would be. Renji was about to accept when he suddenly froze. His eyes drifted toward Hayasaka's skirt. She was dressed in full gal style. Nails done, necklace, sweater tied around her waist. And her school uniform had clearly been modified. Shuchin Academy was a prestigious school with a strict dress code. The girls' skirts were supposed to fall about 10 centimeters below the knee. Hayasaka Ai's skirt, however, was about 10 centimeters above the knee. Isn't the skirt a bit too short? Oh, that? Understanding his concern, Hayasaka gave her skirt a slight tug. In an instant, her short skirt extended into a mid-length one. Relax. I only folded it up. Didn't cut it. Gotta pass the disciplinary committee checks, after all. I used to be part of the disciplinary committee, you know. Hayasaka smiled and held out her wrists. Want to arrest me? Forget it. I'm ex-committee anyway. Renji chuckled. Hayasaka laughed too, then suddenly grabbed Renji's hand. Come with me. Huh? Where? Student council office. You need to try it on. Huh? And get your makeup done. As she spoke, Hayasaka somehow produced a full set of makeup and a wig from nowhere. You're way too prepared. Hello? Hello, is this Miss Sagra Kaname? Mrs. Takeman? Ah, it's been quite a while since we last talked. Yes, my husband was hiding in Japan for a while. It's only thanks to Renji's help that I finally got him back here. In the faculty office, Sagra Kaname was sitting at her desk, talking on the phone. The voice from the other end was clearly that of an elderly woman, but her tone was still quite lively. That's why I hadn't contacted you for so long, Sagra Kaname. Or should I call you Teacher Sagra now? Just call me Kaname, that's fine. Sagra Yao said with a smile. So how's Renji doing over there? Is he studying properly? Has he caused any trouble? Honestly, he's stirred up quite a few incidents, but compared to his father, he's far less of a headache. Oh, that's a relief. By the way, have you heard that Renji has a girlfriend now? I have. She's a very pretty girl. I was in such a good mood when I heard about it, I even postponed my husband's punishment. The elderly woman laughed. Sagra didn't know how to respond to that. The caller was Renji's grandmother, checking in to ask how he was doing at school. Sagra always found dealing with that family a bit troublesome. Say, Kaname, do you have any recent pictures of Renji? I want to see how cute he is now. I bought a bunch of outfits for him. The old woman sounded delighted. I know a bit about his childhood. I heard you used to dress him up in all sorts of girls' clothes, right? Sagra said helplessly. He's in high school now. Shouldn't you stop with these weird hobbies? But this is my only joy in life. I really don't see what's joyful about it. You just don't get it. Actually, I have a photo of him when he was 10. Super adorable. Want me to send it to you? He's wearing all kinds of outfits. Send it to my email. Ah, no. Wait. That's probably not appropriate. Rinji would be upset. Rinji is very obedient. He's never been angry with me. His grandmother chuckled. And you know, when he puts on girls' clothes, he undergoes a strange transformation. Huh? Chapter 313, Cross-dressing. While Sagra continued her phone call with Rinji's grandmother, in the same office, the cheer squad leader Kazan-O was reporting the results of the support committee's planning to the school leadership. I see. So you're going for a gender-swapped school uniform design for the support outfits? That's right. I think it's a good idea. Using school uniforms means you don't need to custom make anything. The teacher said with a smile. Alright, go ahead with it. Coordinate closely with Koyasu. Yes, ma'am. Oh, right. I heard Takuman Renji is in your support team? Yes. That student had some incidents before, as you know. I'm worried he might be excluded by others in the team. Please keep an eye on that. Don't worry. Kazan-O confidently thumped her chest. I'll work closely with Koyasu to keep things smooth between the students. Good. Then you can go prepare. Understood. After Kazan-O left, Sagra's attention returned to her call. From the earlier conversation, she had picked up two things. First, that Rinji had joined the cheer team for the sports festival. That was good. She felt it would help him better integrate into campus life. The second point. The support outfit would be a gender-swapped school uniform. Meaning there was a good chance Renji would be wearing a girl's uniform. Feeling uneasy, Sagra lowered her voice and continued her phone call. Mrs. Takuman, earlier you said Renji undergoes a strange transformation when he wears girls' clothes. What exactly did you mean? Kaname, are you interested too? No, not like that. I'm just curious. Well, it's hard to explain. I'll send you a PDF via email. You'll understand when you read it. Alright. After hanging up, Sagra turned on the office computer. Within minutes, a new email popped up on the screen. Logging in nervously, Sagra saw that Renji's grandmother had sent a file titled Cross-Dressing User Guide, with a note saying it was a strategy guide she had spent 5 years compiling. She made it like a game walkthrough. Sagra gave a bitter smile and clicked the file. The screen filled with dense text and images. Is this for real? She stared in shock at the contents. In the student council room, only Rinji and Hayasaka were present. Rinji sat on the sofa while Hayasaka stood in front of him, gently applying makeup with several tools between her fingers. You've been working on just the base primer for quite a while. Yeah, you wouldn't want to wear this look all day, right? Hayasaka said softly as she worked. Don't worry, your facial structure is perfect. Just a light touch will do. This is actually my first time wearing makeup. What kind of look would you like? Give me 2 scars on my face. That's the ruggedness of a man. Rinji said. No. Hayasaka refused. That would make me upset. She carefully painted his eyelashes when the student council room door opened. Shinomiya Kaguya walked in. She was startled the moment she saw the two of them. Hayasaka? Renji? You two are in the student council room? Yes. Hayasaka replied. As the treasurer, of course I'm here. Rinji added. This is rare. I hardly ever see the two of you together. Kaguya placed her bag down, walked over, and watched as Hayasaka applied makeup to Rinji. Oh my, is Rinji rehearsing for the cheer event? How diligent. I can hear the sarcasm in your tone. No, I would never mock you, Rinji. Though Kaguya said that, her eyes gleamed with obvious amusement. Rinji often teased her, so this was her chance to get some payback. I just think you're very cute, that's all. A vein popped on Rinji's forehead, but Hayasaka calmly pressed his head back down. Hayasaka, make sure to do a good job. Kaguya said with a smile. Make him look pretty. Rinji could tell she just wanted to see him embarrassed. No need to overdo it. Just a bit will suffice. Hayasaka stood up, pulled a neatly folded school uniform from her bag, and handed it to Rinji. Go change into this. Oh, and try this wig too. I'm pretty sure the cheer squad doesn't require wigs. But fine. Taking the wig and uniform, Rinji walked into a hidden room within the council office. This hidden room had been discovered during the 67th Student Council's final activities. No one knew its original purpose, but it was perfect for changing clothes. Once the door shut, Kaguya turned to Hayasaka with a smile. Rare to see you and Rinji together. Making any progress? Not really. Still taking it one step at a time. Hayasaka said as she tidied the makeup tools on the table. But just a heads up, Kaguya-sama. You're the one in danger now. Huh? I can't say more. I need to return to class before anyone gets suspicious. You're right. Without waiting for Kaguya to respond, Hayasaka quickly left the student council room. About 10 minutes later, Shirogane opened the door and stepped in. Shinomiya? You're alone? Well, not exactly. Rinji was here just now, but... She glanced at the hidden room. He was just changing clothes. Why was it taking so long? Rinji's in there? Understanding what she meant, Shirogane walked toward the hidden room. Wait, President, Rinji is still... Rinji, are you in there? Just as Kaguya tried to stop him, Shirogane opened the sliding door. In that instant, both of them froze. Inside stood a girl. Her shining blonde hair fluttered in the breeze from the opened door. Delicate brows and seductive eyes gave her a doll-like beauty. When she saw Shirogane, she stepped back with a blush, clutching her skirt tightly with trembling hands and a misty gaze. In a soft and embarrassed voice, she whispered, President. Don't look at me. A girl's voice? Behind Shirogane, Kaguya stared in shock at the girl before them. At that moment, she finally understood what Hayasaka meant before she left. Chapter 314, Cross-Dressing, 2. You are really Rinji? Yes. In the student council office, Shirogane stood frozen with his mouth agape, staring at Rinji, who was now dressed in a girl's school uniform. With refined facial features, golden wig cascading over his shoulders, and a graceful posture unlike his usual self, Rinji now looked every bit like an elegant young noble lady. Every move radiated charm. Ugh. Shirogane blushed. Though the person before him was just disguising as a girl, Rinji's beauty was genuinely captivating. To stay rational, Shirogane kept repeating in his mind, he's a guy, he's a guy, he's a guy. Why are you dressed like this? Because it's part of the cheer team's theme. Rinji gently covered his mouth and laughed. He crossed his fingers delicately and looked at Shirogane with watery eyes. Sorry, President. I must have startled you. And no, not at all. So cute. Though he tried to remain composed, Shirogane was exploding inside. To hold on to reason, he recalled Rinji's usual self. Helping him cook, assisting with work, always gentle and thoughtful. Ah. Thinking about it only makes him cuter. Why is there such a perfect girl in the world? Taking deep breaths, Shirogane tried to calm down. Sweating, he asked, what's up with your voice? He'd wanted to ask that earlier. Rinji's voice was nothing like usual. It was a beautiful, feminine tone. Oh, that? Rinji smiled. It's voice acting. I learned it when I was really young. I see, so it's a falsetto. Falsetto. By manipulating vocal organs and resonance, a man can mimic a woman's voice. Historically, it was referred to as kji, and is a trick often used by internet scammers. Rinji-kun. Kaguya Shinomiya stood at the side, smiling a little too warmly. Could you switch back to your normal voice? This sounds a bit strange. She'd already noticed that Shirogane hadn't looked at her once since entering the room. His eyes had been fixed on Rinji the entire time. Coupled with what Hayasaka said earlier, Kaguya was gripped by an unfamiliar sense of crisis. Huh? You want me to switch back? Rinji touched his throat and tilted his head. It's kinda hard. I think I got used to this. Why would this become a habit? She regretted it. She regretted telling Hayasaka to make him look extra pretty earlier while she did Rinji's makeup. Now things were spiraling out of control. Okay. Stay calm. Rinji's still a guy. No way the president would fall for a guy. But what if he crosses that line? Kaguya was spiraling. Click. We're back. At that moment, the rest of the student council, Chika Fujiwara, Maiko Aino, and Yui Shigami, entered the office. Fujiwara noticed right away how weirdly pale Shirogane looked and how terrible Kaguya's expression was. What's going on? You both look kinda off. She hurried over. Huh? A new guest? When she saw Rinji, Fujiwara's face flushed. It was a girl she had never seen before, sitting primly on the sofa like a porcelain doll. Seeing Fujiwara's flustered face, Rinji gave her a warm smile. Good afternoon, Secretary Fujiwara. Hi there. Intimidated by the noble aura, Fujiwara shyly greeted him and immediately leaned toward Shirogane to whisper, who is that super cute girl? That's Rinji. Haha, President, you're such a jokester. No. Still staring at the floor, Kaguya muttered darkly. That really is Rinji. He's not joking. Fujiwara's jaw dropped as she turned to Rinji, who waved gracefully at her with a charming smile. That's Rinji? Aino covered her mouth in shock. Ishigami didn't say a word. He simply looked at Rinji, sitting elegantly, and tears welled up in his eyes. He felt fulfilled. Wow, Rinji-kun looks so cute. Fujiwara wasted no time rushing over and hugging Rinji, her hands lovingly patting his head. Geez, I wish you were always this adorable. Like a little doll. Since putting on the girl's uniform, Rinji hadn't just changed his voice. His entire demeanor had softened. Do that. Rinji blushed and mumbled. Okay, Fujiwara, that's enough. He's still a guy. That's not appropriate. Shirogane got up to pull Fujiwara away but tripped over the table corner. Just as he was about to fall, Rinji stood up and caught him. President, are you okay? Why yeah. Thanks. Seeing Rinji this close, Shirogane froze. Ah. I can't take it anymore. Kaguya finally lost it. She rushed over, yanked the two apart, and grabbed at Rinji's uniform. Take those clothes off right now. Ah. Don't pull on my clothes. Kaguya tugged at his uniform while Rinji, flustered, clutched his skirt with teary eyes. He looked pitiful, like a bullied maiden. From an outside perspective, it was totally a mean girl picking on a helpless girl. Don't bully Rinji-kun, Kaguya. Fujiwara shouted. Shinamiya-senpai, please stop. Ino added. Shinamiya-senpai, you look like the villain here. Ishigami muttered. Eh? Kaguya looked around in disbelief, then turned to Shirogane. Shinamiya, that's too much. He said quietly. Why is this happening? Kaguya collapsed to her knees, completely defeated. While Rinji straightened his wrinkled outfit, Ishigami stepped over and held out a hand. Ishigami? Rinji looked up at him with moist eyes. Get lost. Male voice, huh? Note, feel free to announce your departure. Chapter 315, Reflex Ahem. Sorry for losing composure earlier. Please forgive me. Rinji, now back in his male Shuchen uniform, sat on the sofa and cleared his throat while addressing the student council. After that wild scene, everyone's reactions were mixed. Shirogane had just barely calmed down. Ino looked on with curiosity. Fujiwara was brimming with interest. Ishigami looked nonchalant but was silently giving a thumbs up. As for Kaguya, she was still staring into space, clearly traumatized. It's fine, Rinji-kun, no need to apologize. Fujiwara grinned. In fact, I kinda want to see it again. No way. Ino said, Rinji-kun is better in his usual look, though the personality could use some adjusting. I agree. My normal self is fine. I think. Ishigami started. Shut it. You think I turned out like this for no reason? Rinji growled. You were laughing at me on purpose, weren't you? No, I was admiring your beauty. Shut up. Okay. Rinji sighed and looked around at everyone. We all work together in the student council, so please don't bring this up again. The cross-dressing was just for the cheer team. It's not a personal hobby, so please treat it casually. Everyone, got it. Also, delete any photos you took with your phones. Everyone. Fujiwara, Ino, and Ishigami froze. Did he notice? X3 you think I didn't see you sneaking pictures during the chaos? Rinji said coolly. For the sake of future harmony, delete them now. Huh, those looks on your faces. Don't tell me you're thinking of refusing? Rinji clenched his fists, bones cracking audibly. Are you trying to make me smash your phones? Ugh. Rinji-kun is so violent. He was way easier to get along with while cross-dressing. Fujiwara muttered softly. Ishigami raised his hand weakly. Rinji. There's something I'd like to bring up. Permission granted. The cheer team performance will be in front of the entire school. There's no way to stop people from taking photos. Ishigami explained. So even if we delete our photos, it's pointless. Yeah, Ishigami makes sense. Fujiwara quickly added. TCH. Then why the hell am I stuck in this damn cheer squad in the first place? Rinji clicked his tongue. Thinking back, it all started with Ishigami tricking him into joining, though it wasn't really Ishigami's fault. He hadn't known the team planned a costume-swapping stunt. It was the first time they'd done anything like that. When Rinji wanted to back out, his classmate Onodera goaded him with a few provoking words, and Rinji, flaring up, ended up accepting. Of course, he had his own reasons. He wanted to prove his growth and overcome the past. Forget it, fine, I won't make you delete them. Rinji gave up and got up to leave the student council room. He needed a smoke to clear his head. Once he left, the room fell quiet. You know, there's something I still don't get. Shirogane suddenly spoke. Why does Rinji's whole personality change when he cross-dresses? And why use a fake voice? It wasn't just him. The others had the same question. Normally, Rinji was a foul-mouthed, temperamental teen, but once in girls' clothes, he suddenly became graceful and radiated gentle femininity. The contrast was just too extreme. Does anyone know what Rinji's been through? Oh. I think he told me once. Said Fujiwara. When we were rehearsing for the musical performance, he mentioned something. It had to do with his grandmother. Rinji's grandma? Click. Just then, the door to the student council room opened. Sagra Kaname stepped inside and walked up to Shirogane. Sagra-sensei? Shirogane. I came to get the finalized event plan for the sports festival. I have it ready. Nicely done. Sagra accepted the file from Shirogane and skimmed through it on the spot. Fujiwara suddenly asked, Sagra-sensei, have you known Renji-kun for a long time? I suppose. I've known him since he was little. Then do you know what happened to him? Huh? Sagra looked puzzled, so Fujiwara recounted everything they'd just seen. After a moment. So you've all seen it already. Sagra sighed. That kid's personality really does change quite a bit when he cross-dresses. Do you know why, sensei? I only found out today. Sagra knew because she had received a file from Renji's grandmother. Renji started staying at his grandparents' house regularly from the age of 5. His grandma had a very strange hobby. She liked dressing him up in girls' clothes. From a young age, he was made to wear all kinds of frilly dresses and skirts for photos. Renji was quite filial. Even though he didn't like it, he put up with it to please his grandma. But she'd always make him pose in certain ways during the photo shoots, so the young Renji, feeling helpless, would just follow along. Over time, it became something like a conditioned reflex. Huh? In other words, once Renji puts on a girl's outfit, he subconsciously slips into a role. It's what actors call immersing in character, and in his case, it happens reflexively. That's why his personality shifts so drastically. Everyone was stunned by this revelation. And I also received a full psychological report from his grandmother. Sagra pulled out her phone and opened the document. Apparently, depending on the outfit, Renji exhibits different personalities. Noble lady, poetic bookworm, delinquent girl, emotionless goth. Over 30 different types. It's unconscious. He can't control it. As soon as she said that, the entire room went silent in shock. Especially Fujiwara. Her face was practically glowing. She clearly had some dangerous ideas forming. Chapter 316, Brotherhood begins to warp. In short, this incident showed you another side of Renji. A weird one, sure, but still a part of him. Sagra said with a chuckle. But from my perspective, the fact that he is willing to participate in group activities is already a huge win. It was indeed a good thing. Not just because Renji was opening up, but also because when in girl mode, he was far less likely to cause trouble. However, just to confirm, is Renji still wearing the girl's outfit? No. Said Ishigami. He changed already. Ah. That's not ideal. What do you mean, Sagra-sensei? Will something happen? Shirogane asked. It's not like something bad will definitely happen, but it's complicated. Sagra rubbed her temple. Although he was dressed up from a young age, as he grew older, he started to understand that it was inappropriate and developed a sense of shame. Since the personality changes happen unconsciously, once the outfit is off, all the shame hits him at once. And then what? He becomes aggressive. Boom. Crash. From a dojo behind Shuchin Academy, loud crashes and screams erupted. A student wearing a judo gi and a black belt flew through a broken window. Inside the dojo, the remaining judo club members surrounded Renji, all in defensive stances and visibly sweating. The judo club captain, also part of the student union council, was drenched in cold sweat as he watched Renji calmly standing in the center. Everyone had been going about their usual training when Renji suddenly barged in and said he wanted to take on 10. The club captain initially didn't want to allow it, but Renji baited them with, if any of you can land a hit, your club budget next semester doubles. That got the boys fired up, and they accepted the challenge. Then, bam. One student rushed at Renji and was immediately knocked out by a single spinning kick. Counting the student who flew out the window, the floor was already littered with more than 10 unconscious members. Next. Renji said coldly. Nobody dared move. The heat of their earlier resolve was gone. Now they just stood there, circling him, paralyzed by fear. Renji was full of suppressed rage. He needed to do something. Something only a true man would do. He recalled something his father once told him. Flashback, years ago, young Renji and his father had gone to the movies. The film was the classic martial arts movie named IP Man. When Master IP said, "I'll fight 10," and knocked out 10 Japanese officers, Renji's father, munching popcorn beside his son, leaned over and said, "Son, you see that? That's what a real man looks like." Little Renji swallowed his popcorn and blinked his red eyes. "But Dad, I could beat 1,000 of those guys." "No, it's not about that. It's about having the courage to face certain death and never back down. Understand?" I think so. But clearly, Rinji didn't understand. He had never faced true desperation before. What stuck with him was just that iconic line. "I'll fight 10. Now, post-cross-dressing shame and aggression welling up inside, he went straight to the judo club to boost his manliness stat by beating up 10 people. Bam! With one final punch, no one in the dojo was left standing. Rinji pulled out a tissue and calmly wiped his fists. He turned his gaze to the judo club captain, whose sweat was now forming a puddle beneath him. "Your turn." "Wait, me too?" "Obviously. But you've already fought 10 people. 10 was just a number. I plan on fighting many more." The judo captain knew. There was no escape today. Phew. Rinji leaned against the wall outside, lighting a cigarette, feeling fully refreshed after the beatdown. Today had been unusually frustrating. Ever since he wore that girl's outfit, everyone in the student council had looked at him differently. He'd always been the tough, iron-willed type. Why did a brief costume switch completely change how they saw him? Was appearance really that important? He didn't get it. "Ah, Rinji, there you are." While Rinji was smoking, Ishigami had just walked out from the student council office. The moment he stepped out, he saw Rinji leaning against the wall with a cigarette in his mouth. Rinji noticed him, took a drag, flicked the cigarette to the ground, crushed it underfoot, and waved him over. "Hey, Ishigami, come here for a second, sir." He had heard from Kenim that Rinji was extremely irritable these days. Thinking back to how Rinji willingly cross-dressed, he couldn't shake the feeling that if he went over, he might get punched. Still, he walked over in the end. "Rinji, I really don't think you need to get angry about this. After all, relax, this was the cheer squad's idea. Blame goes where it's due." "That's good." Hearing that, Ishigami let out a breath of relief. But just as he relaxed, Rinji suddenly grabbed the back of his collar and pulled him right in front of him. "Ishigami, how exactly do you see me? What kind of image am I in your eyes?" Ishigami tried to come up with an answer, but being this close and thinking about what just happened made him blush a little. "The hell? Why are you blushing?" "I didn't mean to. I mean, we're supposed to be brothers, right?" "Of course. Then why do I feel like our brotherhood is starting to turn weird on your end?" Rinji narrowed his eyes. "You're overthinking it." Ishigami averted his gaze, not daring to meet Rinji's eyes. "I've always seen you as a brother. And this is how you treat your brother? You said it was the cheering squad's idea." Ishigami muttered. "Besides, cross-dressing doesn't look bad on you. You looked beautiful and gentle back then." "What did you just say?" "No, I mean, Rinji, think about it. I joined the cheering squad with you. So what? So if you have to cross-dress, then I have to too. That makes sense, right?" "I guess that makes sense." "Exactly. As brothers, we should go through tough times together," Ishigami declared. "That's what I'm doing, so our brotherhood hasn't changed." "That kind of makes sense." Chapter 317, Watching over. During the sports festival, there will be a large number of people from other schools entering Shuchin Academy. Notify the disciplinary committee to strengthen security. Also, the school store needs to stock up. I've already informed the disciplinary committee. The store has also been notified to restock, and they're allowed to open additional booths during the event. Good. With the sports festival approaching, the student council members were all back to work. Rinji had quickly prepared and printed budget forms for all the potential expenses. Also, to prevent injuries, we should recruit more volunteers as usual. If anyone collapses, they can be sent straight to the infirmary. Rinji said. Shirogane nodded and handed a signed document to Kaguya beside him. "Shinomiya, could you take this to Sagra-sensei?" "Sure. What's wrong? You seem a little off today." "No, it's nothing." The moment Shirogane came close, Kaguya's face turned a little red, and she looked dazed. "If you're tired, make sure you rest." "Yes. By the way." Shirogane suddenly leaned in close to her. As she tensed up, he reached out toward her hair. "There's a string stuck in your hair." He pulled it out. "It must have gotten there during work." "Thank you, President." Kaguya smiled. "I didn't notice at all. Lately I've been feeling a little." Her voice grew faint, and in the next moment, she collapsed to the ground. Thud. "Shinomiya. Are you okay?" Shirogane quickly helped her up as others gathered around. "President, call an ambulance." Rinji walked up and grabbed her hand, pressing 3 fingers to her wrist. "Her heartbeat seems a bit weak." Rinji frowned. "Shinomiya. Does she have some kind of illness?" Shirogane, who had already called the ambulance, quickly asked. "I don't know. I'm not a doctor." Rinji shook his head. "But I don't see any obvious signs." That day, a sudden event struck the student council. Vice President Kaguya Shinomiya collapsed and was taken to the hospital by ambulance. Watching the vehicle leave campus, Shire again looked deeply worried. Shinomiya. Will she be okay? They say she's had a weak heart since childhood. Fujiwara said with concern. Every time the seasons change, she needs to rest. Her mother also passed away from heart disease. I see. President, should I go check on her? Rinji offered. I know some doctors in Tokyo. If needed, I can call in some top specialists from abroad. Please do. In the largest hospital in Tokyo's Minato ward. The ambulance arrived quickly, and when the hospital director learned the patient was Kaguya Shinomiya, he cancelled an upcoming conference and personally took over her case. 10 minutes after Kaguya was brought in, Rinji also arrived. Figured you'd show up too. This can't be helped. Kaguya-sama's condition is rather unique. Hayasaka replied. Their meeting wasn't really a coincidence. As Kaguya's attendant, Hayasaka was obviously by her side. While Kaguya was inside getting checked, Hayasaka and Rinji sat on a bench in the hallway. I heard she has a condition. Is it hereditary? More or less. She came to this hospital for checkups when she was little. I see. Rinji pulled out a folder from behind his back and flipped through it. Shimizu Naotake, Kaguya's biological mother, died 10 years ago from congenital heart disease. Her attending physician seems to be the same one treating her now. Hayasaka replied, glancing at the examination room. Shizo Tanuma. He developed pediatric heart bypass surgery, is the hospital director, and one of the world's most renowned doctors. He is also the Shinomiya family's personal physician. Right, that's him. His grandson attends Shuchen. Tanuma Tsubasa, I think. They say their whole family marries young. Rinji chuckled. He turned back to the investigation report. I was just digging into the Shinomiya family's medical history. But found something much bigger. Her mother was apparently. Since you found it, I guess I can't hide it. Hayasaka sighed. She was a concubine. In other words, not a legitimate wife. This is the 21st century, right? After Shinomiya Gan's previous wife passed, he married someone new, but due to status issues, it wasn't made public. So Kaguya, born from that union, wasn't favored in the family and has no inheritance rights. What a mess. Big families are always like that. My family's big too, but nowhere near this messy. Rinji said. My dad has one wife. My mom. And one son, me. Just the three of us, very harmonious. I don't know your family, so I can't comment. Hayasaka replied. What you found about her mother, I can't stop you, but please don't spread it. I promise to keep it secret. I'm not that bored. Rinji gave a light laugh, but his eyes gleamed red. A family that could be crushed in an instant, yet full of so much drama. It's fascinating. By the way, why did you come when Kaguya-sama fainted? Because someone very worried about her couldn't come himself. Rinji smiled. I promised to keep his secret too. But I'm sure you can guess who. It's the president, huh? Hayasaka smiled faintly. She seemed pleased to see Kaguya's love life progressing. Still, their road to love won't be easy. I get that. Hayasaka said with a bitter smile. If only Kaguya could be a little more honest. Yeah. Though they rarely saw each other at school, Hayasaka and Rinji had always been doing the same thing, silently watching over the love between Miyuki Shirogane and Kaguya Shinomiya. Chapter 318, Heart of Love. They should have figured out Shinomiya's condition by now. Let's take a look. Rinji and Hayasaka stood up and walked toward the examination room. At the door, Rinji pulled a ring from his pocket and slipped it onto his finger. I'm no medical expert, but I know a bit about human biology. If something really serious is going on, I'll handle it myself. Inside the consultation room. Ms. Kaguya, please remain calm. Wearing a white lab coat, the director Tanuma Shizo, an experienced man in his 50s, adjusted his glasses and addressed the nervous Kaguya sitting before him. Yes. You have love syndrome. Kaguya. Hayasaka. Rinji. Staring at Kaguya's dumbfounded expression, Hayasaka's face covering embarrassment, and Shizo's serious demeanor, Rinji quietly took off his ring and put it back into his pocket. Hopeless. Just wait for death. Doctor. What kind of illness is this? Some kind of heart condition? Kaguya asked, utterly confused. It's not. It's simply an accelerated heartbeat when you're around someone you like. Ha ha ha, doctor, you're joking, right? Do I look like I'm joking? Then what do you mean? Are you seriously saying I fainted and got rushed to the hospital because my heart raced from being in love? Yes. In my 30-plus years of practice, this is the first time I've seen a case like this. Please stop joking. Kaguya shouted. Even if others might be infatuated with me, I would never fall into such an embarrassing state as being in love. Shizo stared blankly at her, then turned to the nurse beside him. This girl's really weird. Nurse, we usually call it tsundere. With a sigh, Shizuo looked over at Hayasaka and Rinji. As the Shinomiya family's private physician, he was familiar with the relationship between Hayasaka and Kaguya. The blonde boy next to them, however, he hadn't seen before. You there, are you acquainted with Miss Kaguya? Yes. My name is Takuman Rinji. I work with Shinomiya in the student council. Oh, Rinji-kun. My grandsons mentioned you. The name jogged Shizuo's memory, and he chuckled. He said there's a first year in the student council who's really kind to him, always listening to his complaints and even helped him find a girlfriend. That's true. I guess he has some conscience after all. He also said you're incredibly cute, like. Your grandson is about to get obliterated, you know that? Ahem, back to the diagnosis. Shizuo steered the conversation back to Kaguya. Rinji-kun, what do you think about Miss Kaguya's current condition? As soon as he asked, Kaguya shot a panicked look at Rinji as if begging him not to say anything stupid. You mean Shinomiya? She's fine. Everyone dies eventually. Kaguya, don't talk like I'm already dead. Shizuo, not that. I meant, do you think she's possibly in love or something like that? Kaguya, absolutely not. I already said so. Even if others adore me, I'd never fall in love. Right, Rinji-kun? As she said that, Kaguya kept throwing desperate glances at Rinji. Regardless of what she thought, Rinji had promised Shirogane not to reveal that he liked Kaguya. That secret had to be kept. Dr. Shizuo, what Shinomiya said is absolutely right. Exactly. Among the people I know, not a single one is romantically interested in her. Definitely not. Thud. Kaguya clutched her chest and collapsed to the floor. Among the people he knows. So that means the president too. Doesn't like me. Ugh. Shizuo, does she act this weird at school too? Rinji, we call people like this tsundere. Seeing Kaguya lying there looking lifeless, Rinji sighed, squatted beside her, and whispered in her ear, oh, I just remembered. There is someone. But I can't say the name. The moment he said that, Kaguya instantly sprang up and elegantly returned to her seat. Humphrey, whether someone likes me or not is irrelevant. As a member of the Shinomiya family, I could never care about such things. Rinji turned to look at Hayasaka, who was blushing and covering her face. Is she this tsundere at home too? She wasn't like this before. At least, not this dumb. Watching her mistress embarrass herself repeatedly, Hayasaka seriously considered fleeing the hospital. Shizuo, the nurse, and Rinji exchanged glances. There was still one more thing they could try. Inside a specialized X-ray room sat a massive machine. Kaguya, now in a hospital gown, lay on the platform while the camera pointed directly at her flat chest. This is the most advanced machine in our hospital, so it's quite expensive. Compared to my life, money means nothing. Kaguya said coolly. Outside the glass panel, several nurses were inspecting the monitor. Hayasaka still had her face flushed, while Rinji stood with a blank expression watching Kaguya and the doctors. The heart looks completely normal. One nurse said, examining the X-ray image. Impossible. My heart hurt so badly for the first time today. Aren't there holes in it or something? Kaguya protested. If there were, you'd already be dead. Shizuo replied. Like I said, this is love. That's even more impossible. Shizuo sighed and looked at Rinji through the glass. Rinji nodded and spoke through the intercom. Shinomiya, although we don't get along very well, I must admit you are exceptional. What's with the although? Someone as remarkable as you. Within all of Shuchin Academy, I think only the student council president, Shirogane Miyuki, is a suitable match. Eh? You two are practically made for each other. Humphrey, even if you say that, I don't care at all. Inside the room, Kaguya pouted. Outside, the nurse muted the mic and said, her heart rate just passed 200. What a huge giveaway. Rinji chuckled, then unmuted. But unfortunately, the president doesn't seem to feel the same way. I get the sense this will only end in failure. Kaguya, I told you, I don't care. Nurse, whoa, her heart just skipped a beat. Chapter 319, Fujiwara Chika wants to stir things up from that sudden spike to a complete stop, and now back to normal again. It seems Shinomiya's heart is very healthy. Rinji commented. That's right, said the nurse. Hayasaka, covering her face, enough already. Kaguya-sama, please stop using high-tech medical equipment to peek into your own heart. Serving Kaguya for so many years, this was the first time Hayasaka felt her mistress could be this embarrassing. Rinji looked at Kaguya's expression through the glass and asked the nurse, the results are pretty clear, right? Yes, without a doubt. Love syndrome. She's pretty easy to read, huh? The examination was complete. The final result, Kaguya was in perfect health with a beautiful heart. At the hospital entrance, Kaguya stormed ahead, cheeks puffed, while Hayasaka and Rinji followed behind. Happy now, Shinomiya? How could I be? This so-called love syndrome is pure nonsense. Kaguya shouted, her face beet red. You really don't give in, do you? That Shizo guy is a total quack? No, actually, there aren't many doctors in Japan better than him. Rinji replied. But if you're still unsatisfied, I know a doctor at the Taedo University Hospital. Want me to ask him to diagnose you? That's acceptable. Smack. Just as Kaguya agreed, Hayasaka grabbed her shoulder, blushing furiously. Please don't go again, Kaguya-sama. One hospital's worth of embarrassment is enough. Huh? Why? That doctor is pretty skilled. His name is Hanafusa Hajime. He can cure almost anything. As long as the patient isn't already dead. Rinji said with a smile. But he does have one bad habit, dissection. Eh? Like, you lie on the bed, get drugged, and wake up already dissected. Don't worry, he's not into organ trafficking. It's just a hobby. Who'd dare go to someone that dangerous? A lot of terminal patients. Enough. I'm perfectly healthy. I don't have any terminal illness. You were just swearing you had one a minute ago. Is it really that hard to admit you're in love? I am not in love. Rinji and Kaguya bickered all the way toward the hospital exit, while back in the ward, Danuma Shizo stared out the window, watching the three leave. So young. Watching them reminds me of myself back in the day. Nurse, I don't think they're having kids at 17 like you did. Tanuma, don't say it out loud. In the Tanuma family, partners usually got pregnant at 17 and married at 18. Now that he thought about it, his own grandson was 17. Shizo began to worry. Shinomiya Kaguya. Last time I saw her was 5 years ago. Back then, her eyes were cold, indifferent to everything, and Shizo's mind drifted to the past. To a woman sitting on a hospital bed, gazing at the cherry blossom tree outside the window. A woman who looked exactly like Kaguya. Naotique. Your daughter is very healthy. He smiled as he watched the three of them walk out of the hospital. Don't you think those two behind Miss Shinomiya make a good pair? So the doctor thinks so too, huh? Shinomiya, are you okay? The moment Kaguya returned to the student council office, Shirogane Miyuki rushed up and grabbed her shoulders. Is it something serious? Do you need rest? Maybe you should take a few days off. It's not a big deal. Kaguya smiled, though her face turned bright red from Shirogane's grip on her shoulders. Are you sure you're really okay? Don't worry, I'm fine. Still concerned, Shirogane looked toward Rinji. Rinji, what did the doctor say? Oh, the doctor said the cause of the illness might be... Ah. Kaguya suddenly broke free from Shirogane and rushed behind Rinji, covering his mouth. Rinji-kun, I'm begging you, please don't tell the president what that quack doctor diagnosed me with. She whispered, face flushed. Once Rinji nodded, Kaguya finally let go. But Shirogane, seeing this, misunderstood and assumed Kaguya had a terminal illness she didn't want Rinji to reveal. His face turned pale. And no way. It's really incurable? Don't worry, President. It's not even a serious illness. In fact, it barely counts as a minor one. Rinji said. All the test results show that Kaguya is perfectly healthy. Really? Of course. Shirogane had never known Rinji to lie, so he fully trusted his words and relaxed. And Kaguya, relieved that her love syndrome hadn't been exposed, also let out a sigh of relief. By the way, where are the others? I don't see them. Rinji looked around and noticed that Ishigami, Fujiwara Chika, and Ino Maiko were nowhere to be found. Ino went to the disciplinary committee. Ishigami said he had cheer squad training. As for Fujiwara, I have no idea where she went. She always disappears mysteriously. Hopefully she's not up to something again. Sagra-sensei, could I ask you for a favor? Fujiwara? Sagra Kaname, who had been sitting at her desk looking at her computer, was approached by Fujiwara Chika. Is there something you need from me? You mentioned before that you had some documents regarding Rinji-kun's cross-dressing, right? Yes, his grandmother sent them to me. Why are you asking? I want a copy of those files. Huh? Well, since Rinji-kun is going to be participating in the cheer squad, that means he'll be dressing up again. If we have that file, we can avoid making any mistakes. It would be a disaster if putting on the wrong makeup triggered a bad personality. Sagra fell into deep thought. She realized Fujiwara had a point. The cheer squad would be performing in front of thousands during the sports festival. If Rinji suddenly switched into a violent personality, it could cause chaos. Recalling her own traumatic high school experience, Sagra agreed. Alright. I'll send the file to your email. Thank you, Sagra-sensei. Fujiwara beamed. Sagra didn't notice the mischievous grin on Fujiwara's face. Chapter 320, The Mischief Continues. Sorry I'm late. The student council vice president suddenly fell ill, so I took her to the hospital. No worries. Since you're here, join us for training. The cheer squad was already practicing on the sports field. They weren't in uniform yet, just rehearsing some moves in gym clothes. Everyone had changed into their training gear. Ishigami was already there. Upon hearing that Ishigami was training, Rinji ran over. Koyasutsu didn't blame him for being late and welcomed him with her usual cheerful smile. Looking around, Rinji noticed that many of the cheer squad members weren't training but instead were sitting around chatting. Training's over? Nope. Tsubame laughed. We just finished one round. This is break time. We'll continue shortly. I see. Rinji glanced around and quickly spotted Ishigami. At that moment, Ishigami was sitting on the grass, chatting and laughing with several other boys. Rinji was genuinely surprised. Normally, Ishigami always looked like he didn't care about anything. If he wasn't playing handheld games alone, he was hanging out with Rinji, never interacting with anyone else. If he could remember 5 or 6 classmates' names, that was impressive. But now, he was casually chatting with a group from another class. Ishigami has grown. At the start, Ishigami said he wanted to change his high school life by joining group activities. To think he actually pulled it off. He was no longer the reclusive loner he used to be. Smiling proudly, Rinji walked toward him. As a bro, he had to be happy about his friend's progress. Ishigami. I'm telling you guys, Rinji's cross-dressing is amazing. I can't even describe it, but there's one word, drop-dead gorgeous. Oh. XN Rinji, yesterday, he tried on the outfit with just a little makeup, and it completely stunned all of us. You guys didn't get to see it, but... Smack. Just as Ishigami was getting into it, he felt a tight grip on his head. Rinji had already grabbed him by the scalp. Ishigami turned his head slowly, trembling, only to see Rinji with veins bulging on his neck and face, clearly on the verge of exploding. Ah. Rinji. You're here? What were you just talking about? Rinji's eyes were bloodshot. You get one chance to explain. We were talking about the cheer uniforms, and the conversation just sort of shifted to you. Sweat dripped down Ishigami's forehead. He had been so caught up in talking, he hadn't even noticed Rinji arrive. Here's what really happened. During break, Ishigami had been sitting on the grass drinking from a bottle when he overheard some guys trash-talking Rinji. Stuff like, why is someone like that in the cheer squad? Are we gonna get beat up? Didn't he get suspended before for violence? Remember what he did during the election? Ishigami got pissed and started arguing with them. One thing led to another, and the topic shifted to Rinji's cross-dressing. Once that came up, and they imagined Rinji's face with makeup, all of them became curious and asked for more details. Soon, what began as an argument turned into a cheerful conversation about Rinji in women's clothing. And then Rinji showed up. Why did the conversation shift to cross-dressing? Because I wanted to tell them more about your good points. Ishigami said in his defense. How the hell is cross-dressing a good point? And even if it is, why lead with that? Well, I panicked, and it was the first thing I thought of. President. The student council office door burst open with a loud bang. Fujiwara Chika came rushing in, clutching her phone and panting. Fujiwara? You scared me. Shirogane looked confused at her sudden entrance. Did something happen? Take a breath and have some water first. But Fujiwara had no time for water. She ran right up to him and said, I got it. You got what? I got the cross-dressing manual for Rinji-kun from Sagra-sensei. Eh? Shirogane was shocked. How did you get that? I told Sagra-sensei it was to help Rinji-kun avoid triggering bad personalities during makeup. Can't believe you actually pulled it off. Shirogane's opinion of Fujiwara's capabilities went up a notch. And he resolved to stay farther away from her. But forget that, President, look at this. Fujiwara shoved her phone screen in front of him. These are childhood photos of Rinji-kun. Aren't they adorable? Shirogane took the phone and looked. The file had several photos attached. Images of Rinji between the ages of 9 and 10, dressed in all sorts of frilly dresses and children's outfits. Though he was still young in those photos, there was a striking aura in his eyes. His delicate features, paired with well-chosen outfits, made him look like a porcelain doll. Isn't he cute? He's too cute. Wait, no, this is tragic. I can't believe Rinji was made to dress like this as a kid. Shirogane said. What's wrong with a boy wearing girls' clothes when he's little? Fujiwara complained. Japan has had this tradition for ages, you know. Huh? She wasn't wrong. Back in the Han period over 1,000 years ago, due to Japan's poor resources and lack of medical knowledge, many newborns died shortly after birth. Especially boys, who had a higher mortality rate than girls. Because of widespread superstition at the time, if a boy from a noble family was born weak or sickly, he'd often be raised as a girl until he turned 13, believing it would fool the spirits and keep him alive. Even now in modern times, some families in Japan still have the custom of dressing their young sons in girls' clothes, though obviously not until 13 anymore. So, what are you planning to do with this? Of course I want to try out some of the methods listed here. You're scheming again? Don't say I didn't warn you. There's no way Renji would voluntarily cross-dress, said Shirogane helplessly. If you make him mad, I can't protect you. No worries. I've got my own ways. Fujiwara's confident smile brimmed with mischief. Chapter 321, Bad at Games, Still Addicted. Didn't expect cheer squad practice to be so exhausting. I thought it was manageable. You've really got good stamina. We used to be the same, just shut-in gamers at home, but you really got a good physique. Cheer squad training wasn't just singing or chanting slogans lazily. Their cheer dances were intense. A full round of practice left most people unable to stand. I've been through high-intensity training before. This is nothing to me. You're that good, huh? Planning to participate in any sports festival events? Yeah, I signed up for the relay race. The two chatted as they returned to the student council office. There, Fujiwara was waiting for Renji. She suddenly held out a deck of cards toward him. Renji-kun, let's have a duel. Faced with her enthusiasm, Renji didn't know how to respond. Fujiwara always seemed to have endless energy. Many of the student council's absurd activities came from her. Fujiwara-san, are you super free today or something? Not at all. I've finished all my work. You actually have work? I thought your entire student council role was just stirring up chaos. How rude. I do my job properly. She pouted, then pointed the cards at him again. So, let's duel. What's the connection between your duties and a card game? Though he wasn't sure what scheme she was planning, Renji still asked, what game? Concentration. Concentration was a classic card game. Lay the cards face down. Each turn, flip 2 over. If they match, set them aside. If not, flip them back. Matching pairs let you keep going until you miss. It's a serious test of memory. Fine. I've got time. I'll play around. Yes. Fujiwara cheered. Then her expression shifted. But just playing isn't fun enough. Let's add a little wager. You never change, do you? Ishigami said bluntly. Remember why you lost to the president last time? Every time you gamble, you crash and burn. You never learn. If Renji-kun loses, he has to let me do his makeup and wear the outfit I prepared. That's amazing. Renji, Fujiwara-senpai just threw down a gauntlet. You have to accept. Hey, why are you suddenly on Fujiwara's side? Ishigami had already slipped away from Renji and taken a position next to Fujiwara, watching solemnly. Maybe this was the mark of a true politician's daughter. She really knew how to win people over. I'm fine with that. But what will you do if you lose? You'll be allowed to let me do your makeup. I'll kill you. Just kidding. How about I take you to the amusement park this weekend? You think I'm a kid? Eh? Do you want it to be a date instead? I already have Karura. Why would I need you for a date? Renji smirked and pulled a comb from his pocket. If you lose, how about I give you a new hairstyle? Sure. Fujiwara smiled faintly. In her mind, she had already seen the scene of her victory. With Ishigami as the witness, the match began. 10 minutes later. Fujiwara, QWQ Renji, 7 losses in a row, Fujiwara. I have to say, you're really bad at this. Why won't you admit defeat already? Why? Why haven't I won even once? Because I caught your cheating, of course. Gasp. Fujiwara's body trembled, cold sweat pouring down her face. Ishigami checked the cards on the table, flipping them over and inspecting them but found nothing strange. What trick did she use? Check the back of the cards. The back? Ishigami looked at the grilled meat pattern on the back. Every card looked identical. There's nothing special here. She didn't tamper with the back. She used the natural asymmetry in the card designs themselves. Renji picked up a card and adjusted its angle on the table. Aside from the jokers, the cards ran from A to K, totaling 52 cards. By placing them according to a clock-like method during setup, it was possible to judge the number by angle even when face down. Since K was the 13th card, it could only be set at the same angle as 1, making it easy to confuse with A. That's where Fujiwara struggled. Huh? Ishigami stared in shock at the red-faced Fujiwara. Fujiwara-senpai, that's super shady. Didn't you already get caught cheating once before against Renji and the president? And now you're doing it again? With each word, Fujiwara's face turned redder, until she hung her head in shame. Oh please, you're no better, you traitor. Renji stood up, comb in hand. Alright, Fujiwara-san. He smiled. Punishment time. Rinji-kun, you knew I was cheating from the start? Nope. I figured it out on the third round. Eh? Then how did you win the first two? Just pure memory. Ugh. She had no choice. She lost the bet, and she'd accept the consequence. Please don't shave my head. Relax. Rinji stood behind her. As Fujiwara sat there nervously, his comb flew through her hair. In under 2 minutes, her long, elegant locks were twisted into a vertical tornado resembling. Well, poop. It's super ugly, but kinda creative. Fujiwara said, looking at her reflection. As long as you like it. You're wearing that to class this afternoon. Ha ha ha, you're kidding. Wait, huh? She touched her hair. It was solid. Turning with lifeless eyes toward Rinji, she saw him holding a bottle of hairspray. Ah. Chapter 322, Image President. Rinji-kun went too far. You brought this on yourself. PFFT. Cough, cough. Who told you to gamble with him? He's a top-tier mind game player from Private Haiku Academy. Did you really think you could beat him in a bet? PFFT. Yeah, just take this as a learning experience. Kaguya calmly sipped tea on the couch. She's right. You need to learn your lesson. After school, Fujiwara was slumped on Shirigane's desk, still sporting her poop head, pouring out her complaints. But Shirigane couldn't help laughing every time he looked at her ridiculous hair. Ugh. She was close to tears. Because Rinji used ultra-strong hairspray, she couldn't wash it out. She had to go to all her afternoon classes looking like that. Yet none of the students actually judged her for it. Because the one wearing the poop-shaped hair wasn't just anyone. It was Fujiwara Chika. She was famous at Shuchen, a piano prodigy, daughter of a political family, unbelievably cute, great figure, and above all, a certified chaos gremlin. No one questioned it. It was like, haha, she's got poop hair. Oh, it's Fujiwara Chika? Yeah, checks out. Overall, Fujiwara's sudden hairstyle change didn't cause much of a stir. At most, the teacher called her over and nagged a little. What? Maiko-chan, the president isn't helping me at all. You're a member of the Public Morals Committee, so you need to discipline them properly. Seeing that the president had no intention of reprimanding Rinji, Fujiwara tearfully clung to Eno Maiko beside her. Fujiwara-senpai. Maiko-chan is the cutest. You'll definitely take my side, right? Ishigami, so you're rallying allies now? I feel like I just saw a truly vile side of you. Rinji, it's a lesson. Gambling isn't a good thing. Being hugged and praised as cute made Ino blush completely red, but she still whispered, I don't think Rinji-kun did anything wrong. Gambling really is bad. What? Fujiwara released Ino and angrily pointed at everyone. You're all traitors. Ishigami, we were never on your side to begin with. Rinji, don't count me in. I know, I really respect Fujiwara-senpai, but gambling is still wrong. It wasn't gambling. It's not like we were betting money. I just wanted to get Rinji to wear a dress again. Fujiwara pointed and shouted. Don't you guys want to see him in girls' clothes again? Ishigami and Shirigane, of course we do. Kaguya, not at all. Boys should look like boys. At Kaguya's statement, Rinji gave her a thumbs up. For once, I totally agree. I think I look better the way I normally do. What's so good about cross-dressing anyway? Ishigami and Shirigane, nothing in general. But you're a different story. Kaguya just smiled. Yes, Rinji-kun is absolutely right. But in her heart, she was thinking, there's no way I'll let you turn into that again in front of the president. She knew just how destructive Rinji's cross-dressing charm was. Even she, as a girl, had been momentarily stunned by the doll-like beauty. Letting the president witness that again? Impossible. Ishigami, anyway, the cheer squad will perform at the sports festival, right? If you want to see him cross-dress, why not wait for that? But. Fujiwara pouted in frustration. Don't you guys want to see the other 30 personalities of Rinji-kun? Ishigami, Shirigane, and I know, don't say that. Of course we do. What? Rinji stood up in shock. Where did you hear that? From Sagra-sensei. And where did she hear it? Apparently from your grandmother. No. Rinji collapsed to the floor, holding his head in despair. It's over. My macho image has been completely ruined. It's all over. Come on, you never had that image to begin with. Fujiwara squatted beside him and patted his shoulder. We never evaluated you based on that macho image. Hearing that made Rinji's head droop even lower. Stop clinging to this idea of being a macho man. Embrace yourself as a cute boy. From now on, quit smoking and swearing, and strive to be a lovable pretty boy. Shut it, poop head. Rinji muttered. And don't squat in front of me like that. I can see your underwear. Eek. Fujiwara quickly stood up and covered her skirt, then ran to Aino and grabbed her shoulders, pointing at Renji. Public Morals Committee. Arrest him. No. That just sounds like a well-meaning warning. Why is Maiko-chan always taking Renji-kun's side? Because I really can't imagine Renji-kun doing anything perverted. Aino said. In her mind, despite Renji's violent tendencies and odd behaviors, he always seemed to be acting for the sake of school order, intentionally casting himself as the antagonist of the students. In her eyes, he was like a rigid enforcer. More upright than even she was. Almost like a vigilante with a sense of justice. Of course, that was just what Aino thought based on her own biased observations. In reality, Renji wasn't nearly as good as she believed. Just like Fujiwara wasn't nearly as perfect as she thought. Renji dusted himself off and sat back on the sofa. By the way, President. Will your family be coming to the sports festival? Wilk and your dad be there? Probably won't make it since she's got classes in the middle school division. Shire again said. As for my dad. Probably not. To be honest, he didn't want that embarrassing old man coming to school anyway. If he ended up saying something outrageous, it could ruin his image completely. If Renji heard it, whatever. Their families were already close. But if other students, or worse, Shinomiya, heard it, he didn't even want to imagine the consequences. What about you, Renji? Will your family come? I'm not sure. Oh, by the way, President, can I invite Kura? Your girlfriend? No problem. Chapter 323, I will never approve this. A certain island in the Western Pacific. Outside a circular building stood a large number of armed soldiers, all gripping their rifles and vigilantly watching the surroundings. Further out, armored divisions had already gathered. Today, its headquarters was hosting a major meeting. The president and nearly all the founding elders were present. Even these battle-hardened soldiers couldn't help but swallow nervously. For all the retired elders to show up at once. It was likely he was planning a massive strategic shift. Perhaps even something that could reshape the global balance of power again. Of course, that was far beyond what mere soldiers could understand. Inside the massive chamber, the atmosphere was as tense and oppressive as ever. The elders sat grimly in their seats, eyes locked on Shuk. He himself was visibly forcing himself to stay calm. Bang. One elder slammed the table and growled, Shuk, have you been president too long? You're getting out of control. Please calm down. Calm? At a time like this, you suddenly try to stop us. What the hell are you thinking? Another elder roared. Don't forget, we still retain decision-making power even after retirement. I understand your intentions. Shuk's voice was calm. But this matter has too many implications. I can't agree to it. You got this far because we took bold action. If our founder had been as timid as you, he wouldn't even exist today. I'm fully aware of that. But as his current president, I must think about our future. Shuk's voice remained firm. The world isn't the same as it was. It's no longer an era where muscle and guns can bring success. One wrong move could destabilize the entire global order. That's exactly why I can't approve your plan. The Elder Council already voted unanimously. I know. But as president, I hold veto power. You little punk. You want me to give up this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity? Yes. You. Shuk met their furious gazes without flinching. Shuk, are you really going to block us? I am. You're getting cocky. Just because the founder favored you, you think you can ignore us? I greatly respect all of you. But. He hesitated, then ground the words out through clenched teeth. I just can't approve this. Your plan would lead to chaos. The elders finally began to calm down slightly. Can you at least explain why? Shuk? Because the reason is ridiculous. Shuk said through gritted teeth. You want all of these founding members to fly to Japan. Just to cheer on Renji at his school sports festival. I seriously cannot approve that. Why not? I already chartered a plane. I bought gifts too. Looking at the row of elderly men bickering around the table, Shuk couldn't help but bury his face in his hands. Why? Why did he ever accept the role of president? He remembered the day he was chosen as the next leader of E by Renji's father. His superior and mentor. At the time, he had vowed to do whatever it took to uphold the legacy and make the organization stronger. And he had indeed worked hard. He had grown under his leadership. But never had he imagined that the founding members, the legendary, fearsome warriors who once shaped the world, would turn into this a decade later. They used to be so reliable. So dignified. I don't care. I am going to Japan. Yeah. What's wrong with visiting our little Renji? We just want to see his school life. You're seriously going to stop us over that? Shuk. Everyone, please think this through. If all of these founders suddenly gather in Japan, do you realize what kind of signal that would send to the rest of the world? We're under global watch. Even a small movement could destabilize the balance of power. Do you understand that? We understand. So what if the balance shifts? Managing global balance is your job, isn't it? Shoot. So tired. In any case, I refuse to approve this. TCH. Stubborn brat. This isn't about stubbornness. I ask that you all remember your positions. And refrain from stirring up trouble. So that's the deal. We've got a sports festival next week, and if you're free, Grandpa George. I'll definitely make time. In a seaside villa in Shinagawa, Tokyo, Rinji handed an admission ticket to George, who accepted it cheerfully with a big smile. During the sports festival, the school allowed outside visitors to watch. But only family members of the students. Students could apply for tickets from the school and hand them to their family, who could then use them to enter Shuchin and attend the event. Since the student council was in charge of distributing the tickets, Rinji had no trouble getting several. Are you really free, Grandpa George? I remember you're quite busy here in Japan too. Actually, I'm not that busy. George chuckled. That was a lie. As his former president and a current elder of the council, George had naturally attracted attention from all sides the moment he arrived in Japan. Politicians, corporate magnates. They were all trying to contact him. In fact, on the day of the sports festival, he was supposed to have lunch with the chairman of the Economic Federation, and dinner with the Minister of Defense to discuss some high-level matters. But he had already decided to cancel all of that. By the way, little Rinji, are your parents coming to the festival? Oh, I mailed the tickets home. Whether they come or not depends on luck. Shirakawa smiled. But I figure they probably aren't even home right now. Sounds about right. After Rinji left the villa, George looked at the ticket in his hand, then took out his phone and snapped a photo of it. He sent it to the internal group chat used by the elders. Little Rinji invited me to his school's sports festival. The boss's kid has really grown up. I'll send some photos when I go. 1 minute later. Fuck, shoot up, you sneaky old shit. Basically, a bunch of people across the ocean were not happy right now. Chapter 324, Stepping into Character Sigh. What's wrong, Secretary Fujiwara? It's midday and you're sighing like that. As always, Rinji was lounging on the student council's sofa, reading a book. Across from him, Fujiwara Chika wore a miserable expression and kept sighing. Fujiwara was the kind of girl who was always full of energy. Sometimes borderline manic. So seeing her like this was rare. Listen to me, Rinji-kun. She said weakly. But promise me you won't be scared by what I'm about to say. Go on. I can take it. President asked me to teach him how to dance today. And? What do you mean and? You know how hard it is to teach the president, don't you? He's not that bad. Rinji had trained Shiragain twice before. Once was for volleyball. Honestly, Shiragain's coordination was atrocious, but they had mechanical aids that helped, so it wasn't too bad. The second time was singing. That was when both Fujiwara and Rinji coached him together. After a long and torturous effort, they finally cured his habit of singing the school anthem off-key. Back then, Fujiwara had suffered the most. After being assaulted by his demonic voice countless times, she swore never to coach him again. And yet here she was, helping him again. Originally, Shiragain wanted Rinji to help him, but Shirakawa was busy training with the cheer squad and also unfamiliar with the traditional Japanese folk dance involved. Being a foreigner didn't help either. With no other choice, Shiragain turned to Fujiwara. What dance is it this time? The Surenbushi. Surenbushi was a traditional Japanese folk dance based on a song sung by fishermen as they pulled in nets. It was adapted into a modern dance to keep movements synchronized. That one, huh? I have no clue how to do it. Why is the president learning that? Because each grade has to perform something at the sports festival. Second years got this dance. So basically, he sucks at it and asked you for extra training? Sucks is putting it nicely. Fujiwara clutched her head and shouted. It's a disaster. Watching him dance is like seeing a puppet hung by steel wires. It's not even a dance, it's an exorcism ritual. Is it that bad? Look for yourself. She whipped out her phone and played a video for Rinji. It showed a recording of Shiragain's dancing. And honestly, it really couldn't be called dancing. The movements were stiff, twisted, and outright bizarre. So this is the Surenbushi of Japan? Tough dance. That's not how it's supposed to look. This is the real thing. She played another video. An instructional clip from a video site. Now do you see how awful the president's version is? Normally, Fujiwara wouldn't expose Shiragain's embarrassing sides, but Rinji was an exception. Shiragain never minded him knowing about his weaknesses. I get it. Rinji nodded. By the way, I already learned that dance. Huh? Fujiwara looked at him suspiciously. Nobody can master it just by watching a video once. This kind of thing requires hands-on coaching. Like this, right? Renji stood up from the sofa, took a deep breath, and began dancing. His version of the Surinbushi was executed smoothly and powerfully, every motion sharp and clean without a hint of awkwardness. Fujiwara stared, eyes wide and filled with disbelief. When he finished and returned to his seat, Renji smiled. So, how'd I do? Whoa, what's with that face? Tears had already gathered at the corners of Fujiwara's eyes. After seeing Shiragane's horror show earlier, and now witnessing Renji deliver a near-perfect performance, she couldn't help crying. Whether from joy or sorrow, even she didn't know. The contrast was just too intense. Renji-kun. That was really your first time? Yep. You've never learned it before? Of course not. Ugh. Is this what they mean by other people's children? Why is my own kid so hopeless? Something feels off about your wording. Renji returned to his book. I'm the kind of person who can learn most things after seeing them once. This kind of dance isn't hard for me. Don't be fooled by my tough guy vibe. I know a bit about dancing. Ballroom, street, you name it. I think the one thing you're bad at is self-awareness. I've never sensed any tough guy vibe from you. As she thought about having to coach Shiragane again, Fujiwara sighed. But suddenly, her eyes lit up. Hey, since you already know the Surinbushi, why not help the president practice? Huh? Swish. Before Renji could say anything, Fujiwara suddenly stood up and grabbed his hand. You'll do it, right? Well, I don't mind. Then let's go right now. So yeah. Renji said, Fujiwara dragged me here to coach the president. Ah. Thanks, really. Shiragane gave a wry smile. He'd always relied on Renji whenever he ran into problems. He thought this time would be different. But here they were again. Honestly, Shiragane was starting to wonder if there was anything Renji couldn't do. He was a genius, no question. How long have you been practicing? About 3 days. Try dancing it once. I'll see what needs correcting. Got it. As Renji watched, Shiragane performed the dance from memory. Let's just say, it was a train wreck. Renji and Fujiwara. So? How was it? Well, Renji did a quick mental calculation. The sports festival was just around the corner. At this pace, I'll go suggest a different program to the school. No way. Fujiwara grabbed Renji's sleeve tightly. Why are you saying things that crush a kid's self-esteem? You're getting a bit too into the role, aren't you? Chapter 325, Sports Festival begins and the mysterious visitor. The sports festival finally began, drawing the full attention of students and staff. 2 days prior, both Renji and Fujiwara were still struggling with Shiragane's inability to properly perform the Surinbushi. And it led to some serious disagreements about teaching philosophy. Renji insisted on directly requesting the school administration to change the second-year performance, while Fujiwara planned to carefully teach Shiragane how to become better at dancing. According to Renji, everyone has their own strengths and weaknesses. No one can truly be good at everything. The skill of net dancing wouldn't help Shiragane in his future at all, so it would be better to use that limited time doing something meaningful. Fujiwara, on the other hand, argued that even if someone wasn't good at something, as long as they worked hard to overcome it, there wouldn't be a problem. People shouldn't always take shortcuts in life. In the end, it was Miyuki Shiragane who stopped the two from clashing over their conflicting educational philosophies. He chose to keep learning the Surinbushi dance. After all, if the whole second-year performance had to be changed just because of him, it would weigh heavily on his conscience. Since he had made up his mind, Fujiwara had no choice but to teach Shiragane alongside Renji. With their combined efforts, Shiragane completely mastered the Surinbushi dance on the final day before the sports festival. This really wasn't easy. Renji sat in the bleachers of the sports field, watching the second-year students, including Shiragane, perform their dance below. Shiragane, dressed in blue, danced with ease. After days of training, he had finally gotten the hang of it. He also signed up for 3 other sports events that he was good at. There was nothing left that could embarrass him. Your dancing isn't bad, Miyuki. Shiragane's expression changed in an instant mid-dance. He felt like he heard a very familiar voice. No way, it can't be him. There's no way he'd come here, right? Then he heard Renji's voice. Uncle, you're here? Oh, Renji, I came to check out your sports festival. Do your best in the competitions. Thanks. Dad's here. Shiragane was now sure his father really was in the audience. Since he was dancing, he couldn't turn his head to look, but the voice was unmistakable. The person who could make him lose all dignity had arrived. After the performance, Shiragane walked gloomily toward his father and Renji. Dad, What are you doing here? I'm just bored. Shiragane's father was still doing part-time jobs without any stable work. Though the pay was low, the upside was that he had lots of free time. Since he had nothing to do today, he came to watch the sports festival. Oh, is this the student council president? Just then, an elderly man wearing a trench coat walked out from behind Renji. He was about 190 centimeters tall. Though aged, he had an imposing presence that made Shiragane uneasy. This was George Shepchik, whom Renji had invited. Hello, Shiragane Miyuki. George greeted him in not-so-fluent Japanese and extended his hand. Hello. Shiragane shook his hand. May I ask who you are, sir? Oh right, I haven't introduced myself. I'm George Shepchik. George smiled. You could say. I'm Renji's grandfather. Renji's grandfather? Shiragane glanced at George in surprise. This was probably his first time meeting one of Renji's relatives, though he didn't know that the grandfather title was something George gave himself. I've heard Renji mention you before. As expected, you're quite outstanding. George gave a rare compliment, then turned to Shiragane's father. Looks like your family's education is also top-notch. Shiragane's father waved his hand modestly. Not at all, I didn't really teach them anything. Shiragane, yeah, that part is true. Then he suddenly noticed his father holding a video camera. Wait, are you filming me? Yeah. Wow, you're finally doing something a father should. Seeing his father show even the slightest concern touched Shiragane. Until he saw the video camera footage. Which was of Fujiwara dancing. You bastard. Wait, it's a misunderstanding. Before his dad could explain, a middle-aged man in a suit ran over holding a minipod. I asked him to help film my daughter. Huh? The bleachers were already packed. Not only the students and faculty were there, but also many of the students' parents. You're Miyuki Shiragane, right? I've heard about you from my daughter. The middle-aged man greeted him with a smile. So you're Fujiwara's father. Hello, I'm Miyuki Shiragane, the student council president. Miyuki quickly bowed. Has received a lot of your care too. Oh, the friend of Moa? You siblings are very polite. Chika Fujiwara's father was named Daiki Fujiwara, a politician in Tokyo. After exchanging a few pleasantries with Shiragane, he spotted Renji and George, then immediately switched to English. Long time no see, Mr. Shepchik. Hello. How's that elder in your family doing? Thanks for asking. He's still in good health. Renji looked at the two of them and asked, Grandpa George, do you know the Fujiwara family? Of course. Daiki Fujiwara replied with a smile. Mr. Shepchik is my grandfather's friend. I see. Daiki Fujiwara's grandfather, Chika's great-grandfather, was a former prime minister of Japan. By the way. George looked around. Renji, you said your girlfriend would be here too, right? Where is she? Karura should be. Renji. Before he finished, a familiar voice called from behind. A dark blur leaped onto Renji. Karura clung to him like a koala. You made it, Karura? Hee, make sure to do your best today. Karura affectionately lay on Renji's back. Of course. Didn't you say you'd come? Behind one of the buildings near the sports field, Hayasaka, wearing a thin tracksuit, was on the phone, her voice filled with frustration and sadness. Don't make promises you can't keep. After a long pause, her tone turned dejected. Mom. You liar. She hung up and slowly walked away. She had already seen Karura hugging Renji when she returned to the bleachers earlier. Perhaps out of bitterness and regret, she had left early to hide behind the building. Her mood was already low, but she had held on to the hope that her mother would come to watch her. That thought had kept her going. But the phone call just now crushed her final hope. Her mother couldn't come because of work. Hayasaka's spirits sank completely. Kaguya's attention was on Shiragane. Renji already had Karura. Her mother wasn't coming. No one was there for her at this sports festival. As she walked down the path, neither the passing students nor the parents around her registered in her mind. Thud. Ah. She suddenly bumped into someone and staggered back, but a hand caught her just in time. Are you okay? Sorry, I wasn't paying. Hayasaka started to apologize, but stopped when she saw the person's face. It was a breathtakingly beautiful woman. Her refined features and sapphire-like eyes, paired with golden hair draped over her shoulders, gave her an aura of nobility and grace even in a simple blouse and chiffon skirt. Graceful as a phoenix, elegant as a dragon. She was someone you wouldn't forget after just one glance. I'm sorry. Hayasaka blushed and spoke softly. It's nothing, no need to apologize. The woman glanced around at the many buildings of Shuchin Academy and smiled at Hayasaka. Would you be kind enough to show me around the school? Of course. Are you a parent of a student here? Yes, my son transferred here last semester. I received an invitation from him, so I came to take a look. Chapter 326, Excellent Daughter. The beautiful woman looked incredibly young. No matter how you looked at her, she didn't seem old enough to be someone's mother. Her skin was extremely fair, soft, and delicate. Judging by appearance alone, she looked no older than 25. But that youthfulness was only on the surface. Who could really tell her actual age? Hayasaka, her face flushed, walked beside the woman. The two of them drew glances from everyone around as they walked down the street. What a beautiful woman. Are they sisters? Or mother and daughter? I can't believe someone this beautiful exists in the world. The two of them had an extremely high rate of turning heads. Since Hayasaka had the same blonde hair and blue eyes as the beautiful woman, people around them assumed they were related. Surrounded by so many curious eyes, Hayasaka blushed and whispered, "Andy, where are you headed? If it's the gymnasium, I can show you the way. This isn't urgent." The woman spoke. "If possible, could you take me to visit the school? I'd like to see the place where that child attends class." "Sure. Thank you, what a sweet child you are." The woman reached out and gently patted Hayasaka on the head, making her cheeks flush even redder. For some reason, Hayasaka felt a strong sense of familiarity from this woman. It was like having her own mother by her side. Her real mother hadn't come this time due to work, but this beautiful and kind woman seemed to perfectly make up for that absence. Hayasaka was amazed by this strange feeling. She had actually found the feeling of a mother in someone she'd just met for the first time. To avoid attracting too much attention, Hayasaka deliberately led the woman down a less crowded path. Still, she underestimated the woman's charm. "Miss, excuse me, may I invite you to the cafe next to the school?" As expected, a man soon approached and tried to strike up a conversation. Most of the people attending today's sports festival at Shuchin were students' parents. Fathers, mainly. Who were all married and wouldn't flirt with other women. At most, they'd just be stunned by her beauty. But for those who came as older siblings instead of parents, like older brothers, seeing such a gorgeous woman at school could definitely stir up ideas. Just as the woman was about to refuse, Hayasaka suddenly stepped forward and linked arms with her. "Hey! What are you trying to do to my mom?" Mom?" The flamboyantly dressed man froze in shock at the word. He never would have imagined that this woman was already married. And even had a daughter this big. Sorry. Realizing she was a married woman with a daughter by her side, the man awkwardly backed off and ran away. Seeing him leave, Hayasaka let out a sigh of relief and awkwardly said to the woman beside her, "Sorry for using that trick, but it's the only way to deal with annoying guys like that. If possible, it'd be better if your husband came with you next time." "My husband had something to deal with, so I came on my own." The woman smiled as she spoke. "But it's all right. I have such an excellent daughter here to protect me." Even a single smile from her could captivate anyone. Hayasaka realized she had absolutely no way to say no to this woman. Although she'd already heard that the woman had come to Shuchin to see her son, she couldn't help but wonder. What kind of guy could possibly have a mother like this? If he even inherited a bit of her looks. At that thought, Hayasaka suddenly froze. She quietly studied the woman's face and noticed she looked shockingly similar to Rinji. At least a 70% resemblance. No way. That's too much of a coincidence. Is something wrong? The woman looked at Hayasaka curiously as she stared. "And no. How should I address you, auntie? My surname is Takaman." Hearing that, Hayasaka's whole body trembled. So she really is Rinji's mother? Go, Rinji. Rinji. You've got this. From the stands, George and Karura shouted out to cheer for Rinji, who was preparing on the track below. He wore a red headband, stretching and warming up at the starting line. Shuchin's sports festival wasn't a battle between classes or grades. It was a match between the red team and the white team. Among the student council members, almost everyone had been assigned to the red team. Only Kaguya stood staring blankly at the white ribbon in her hand. She couldn't shake the feeling that she'd been excluded again. Rinji was currently participating in the 1,500-meter run. Because of the high physical demand, very few students had signed up for it. This was Shuchin, after all. A school filled with pampered heirs and heiresses. On your marks. The referee gave the order, then raised a starter pistol. Bang. With the crack of the gun, everyone launched off the line at once. Rinji shot ahead instantly, leaving everyone else in the dust. In fact, he was deliberately holding back. Otherwise, breaking the world record would have been no problem for him. To avoid unnecessary trouble, he had to cap his speed at about the peak level for a normal high school athlete. All he wanted was first place. Not to set records. Before long, Rinji crossed the finish line. Without even breaking a sweat. The few students trailing behind all arrived panting, drenched in sweat, hands on their knees as they struggled to recover. Rinji secured first place for the red team with ease. That was amazing. Back in the stands, Karura hugged Rinji excitedly. Even though she herself could have easily run that time, watching Rinji win still filled her with joy. Alright, alright. Rinji rubbed her head gently, a rare smile forming on his face. What an adorable girl, said Shiragane's father, sipping a beer nearby. Uncle? Aren't you supposed to be with the president? Oh, he said there's a place near the school that sells delicious curry bread, so I came to check it out. In truth, Shiragane had deliberately sent his dad away, worried he might embarrass him in front of Kaguya with his usual nonsense. By the way, Rinji, did your parents come today? Not sure. I sent them invitation tickets, but they never said whether they'd come or not. Rinji replied. Probably busy with something. No way they'd come all the way to Japan just for a sports festival. Still, thinking about his parents not showing up stirred up some mischief in Rinji's mind. He patted his pocket. Inside was a remote control. A faintly sinister smile crept across Rinji's lips. This time, there's no doubt. We're winning this whole thing. Chapter 327, Mom. To save time, many events at the sports festival were held simultaneously. While the obstacle race was taking place on the track, the shot put competition was being held at the center of the field. A burly student with a white headband stepped forward, weighing the shot put in his hand, his face full of confidence. He believed he could earn a great score for the white team. When his turn came, he stepped forward and hurled the shot put with all his might. It soared high through the air. But just when it seemed like it would keep flying, it suddenly stalled and dropped straight down into the sand. 5 meters. What? No way. Next. Ignoring the dumbfounded expression of the white team student, the teacher called up the next contestant. Meanwhile, in the stands, Rinji was watching the games while holding a remote with a screen. He had tampered with most of the white team's events. The night before the festival, Rinji had snuck into the school late at night and modified the fields and facilities, even setting traps. The goal was simple, to ensure the red team won. Was there some benefit to the red team winning? Not really. It was just that Rinji had a strong competitive streak. He didn't care about the spirit of sportsmanship anymore. During the games, various issues had cropped up for the white team. Shoes glued to the blocks at the start line, sand pits that swallowed runners whole during obstacle courses, and so on. You didn't rig anything, did you? Don't throw accusations around without proof. Sitting next to Rinji, Kaguya was watching the games. The white team had suffered an unusual number of mishaps. If anyone tampered with the events, she was sure it had to be Rinji. What's that remote for? Business secret. Still in testing. Kaguya sighed and kept watching the field. Where's your little girlfriend? Didn't come with you? Karura went to buy ice cream. She'll be back soon. Rinji said. What about you, Shinomiya? Your family didn't come to watch? You know how my family is. Kaguya lowered her head and gave a bitter smile. My father wouldn't come to something that has no benefit to him, even if I'm his daughter. Your old man's making the right call. Rinji said. If the Shinomiya head shows up in Tokyo, he'd be on the banks of the Sanzu River in 5 minutes. You're going to deal with the main family someday, aren't you? Yeah. It's just a matter of time. Rinji said with a smile. Although Rinji hadn't completely destroyed the Shinomiya family 4 years ago, that didn't mean he had let them off the hook. Taking them down would be easy. It was just that he wanted his side to absorb their assets first, to maximize profit. How to act and when to act were things worth planning carefully. Killing people was simple, but making money from corpses took strategy. You hate the main family so much, yet you spared me. Kaguya said with a smile. Why? Because we're comrades. Eh? We're comrades in the student council. At least, that's how I see it. Rinji said in response to Kaguya's surprised look. Kaguya opened her mouth slightly, then smiled. You really are. Too free-spirited. That's just my way of life. Kaguya chuckled. You know my family situation already. Isn't it about time you told me about yours? Oh, they're probably not coming to the sports festival this time. Most likely off traveling somewhere. I'm not talking about them, I mean. But because they're not coming. Especially my mom. That's exactly why I can get away with a little behind-the-scenes manipulation. Kaguya's face instantly darkened. Did you just say behind-the-scenes manipulation? No, I didn't. Rinji turned his head away. You misheard. You really did mess with the competition, didn't you? Alright, fine, I did mess with it. I dug traps all night yesterday, and even rigged some of the equipment. How strong is your need to win, exactly? Life demands victory. It's not about as long as I win, it's I must win, Rinji said righteously. And for that, anything goes. You can't just dress it up like that and hide the fact you're cheating. What happened to friendship first, competition second? No one ever said that to me. If I never agreed to it, it doesn't count. That's just shameless. You've completely destroyed the fairness of the games. Once you're on the battlefield, your life or death is up to fate. Fairness doesn't exist. If the enemy brings an armored car, I'll bring a fighter jet. If they bring a fighter jet, I'll bring a missile. Imbalanced force is how you win. If you can't win head-on, you strike from the rear. This is a sports field, not a battlefield. Kaguya stood up abruptly and went to snatch the remote control from Renji's hand. You really are using this thing to control the competition, aren't you? Turn it off. No way. Renji stood up too, raising the remote high above his head so Kaguya couldn't reach it. Just as Renji grinned at Kaguya, who was stretching on her tiptoes trying to grab the remote, the hand holding the device was suddenly grabbed. Huh? Annoyed, Renji turned around, ready to snap at whoever dared grab his wrist. But when he looked back, he saw a beautiful woman with golden hair. And next to her, Hayasaka blushing faintly. Cold sweat poured from Renji's forehead in an instant. Kaguya, noticing Hayasaka, stepped forward and tugged her sleeve, whispering, Hayasaka, what are you doing here? And who's this beautiful woman? She's Renji. The beautiful woman looked at the now frozen Renji, her expression emotionless. What are you doing? Mom. Mom? Kaguya looked between Renji and the woman in shock, her mouth hanging open. This was the first time anyone from Renji's family had appeared in public. Chapter 328, Strategy. Ms. Takaman. Yes. Your son. What kind of person is he? Now that she knew the beautiful woman before her was Renji's mother, Hayasaka was visibly tense. Normally, she was skilled at keeping composure no matter the situation. But this time, the nervousness was real. Still, she didn't reveal that she personally knew Renji. My son? You mean Renji? The woman raised a slender finger to her chin in thought. He's a very adorable child. At home, he's well-behaved and obedient. Very sweet. I see. That description clearly didn't match Renji at all. In her view, Renji was lawless and unstoppable. No one could stop him once he set his mind to something. Calling him inherently violent wouldn't be a stretch. Come to think of it, if we hadn't sent him to this school, he'd probably still be on the battlefield. Hayasaka hadn't expected the woman to say something like that so casually. She looked like she genuinely believed it was normal for her son to have been on a battlefield. Did you send him to Shuchen? To give him a peaceful life? Hayasaka asked. She wanted to know more about Renji. In part, yes. We did want him to enjoy some peace. But we never intended for him to live peacefully forever. Huh? The woman's words caught Hayasaka off guard. Didn't she want Renji to stay in a peaceful society? We just wanted to give him more choices, she said. Whether he chooses a peaceful school life or a battlefield drenched in blood, that decision is his alone. We can't interfere. His father once said that he never had any choice in life. He had to walk a single path to the end. Even after peace came, he still couldn't adjust. So he didn't want his son to be trapped in the same swamp. A hint of nostalgia appeared on her face. What we think is good may not suit him. That's why we gave him the right to choose. I believe that after experiencing both peace and war, he'll make his own decision. Not everyone fits into the same environment. What's comfortable for one may not be for another. Renji's parents sent him to Shuchen not to tie him to peace, but to give him options. If Renji ultimately chose to return to the battlefield, they wouldn't stop him. But she tilted her head slightly. I heard he recently got a girlfriend. That line sent a chill down Hayasaka's spine. Renji having a girlfriend was probably one of the things she least wanted to hear. We thought maybe that meant he chose a peaceful life. But then we found out the girl seems to be from a family of professional assassins. The woman said. So I guess he's chosen the battlefield after all. From the type of girlfriend Renji picked, his mother could guess where his heart truly lay. By choosing Karura, Renji was essentially ensuring he wouldn't be bound by anything. Returning to the life of combat. No, it's just that Karura confessed first. Hayasaka blurted out. Then immediately covered her mouth. The woman turned to her. You know Renji? Sort of. He's pretty famous at school. That wasn't a lie. Renji was indeed infamous at Shuchen for his chaotic behavior, to the point where all students and staff knew the wild first year. Famous? Seems like he's not behaving himself at school. The woman looked a bit troubled. After coming back from the battlefield, he has no clue how to live peacefully. He probably causes a lot of problems for teachers and classmates. It's a miracle a kid like that has a girlfriend. That's not true. Hayasaka suddenly shouted. It's not true. Renji is incredibly talented. Even if he seems out of sync with everyone else, that doesn't hide how kind he really is. And no matter what side of him you see, it's admirable. He's not as terrible as you're making him sound. She looked up after speaking and saw the woman smiling warmly at her, making her blush deeply and lower her head. Sorry, Miss Ackerman, I didn't mean to. On the contrary, hearing you speak of him like that puts me at ease. The woman smiled gently, reaching out to pat Hayasaka's head, making her duck it even lower. I believe he's remarkable too. He's just like his father, and that's why I think he's special. But most people wouldn't fall for that side of him. Hearing you say this makes me really happy. She looked down at Hayasaka with a soft smile. Do you like him? Being asked so directly by Rinji's mother, Hayasaka blushed all the way to her ears. How was she supposed to answer that? Say I like your son when he already had a girlfriend? But in the end, she nodded shyly. Just like his father. Very popular with women, but completely unaware of it. The woman smiled. I can't interfere with his choices, but I'll tell you one thing. What is it? Just like his father, he's the kind of man who willingly lets the one he loves restrain him. Huh? Come on, let's go to the gym. It's been a while since I saw him. Alright. Hayasaka didn't quite understand what that last line meant, but she couldn't think about it now. She led the woman toward the gym. Inside the stadium, the match was underway, and the stands were packed, making it hard to find Rinji in the crowd. But then they spotted him. Holding a remote in the air while Kaguya puffed her cheeks and tried to jump up and grab it. Without a word, Rinji's mother walked over and calmly grabbed the hand he was raising. Rinji, what are you doing? Mom. Chapter 329, Mama's Boy. Rinji, what are you doing? Will you tell Mom? Rinji, trembling. Of all the people he expected, she was the last. His whole body shook. Although he had sent the tickets back home, there hadn't been any response for several days. Rinji thought his parents wouldn't come. Actually, he wasn't worried if it was just his father. After all, their way of thinking was almost identical. At most, they'd engage in a fatherly love, son's piety PvP skirmish. But his mother was a different story. It wasn't that she was strict. On the contrary, she had a very gentle temperament. Rinji had never seen her angry. It was just that, in front of her, he seemed naturally suppressed. He was terrified of making her upset. I used it to manipulate the match. Rinji mumbled, lowering his head. I see. That won't do. Since you're at school, you should follow the rules and not cause trouble for others. His mother said. Okay. Mom, I was wrong. Good boy. The woman gently rubbed Rinji's head. He blushed and squinted his eyes like a kitten being stroked by its owner. Kaguya. Seeing this scene, she thought she was hallucinating. The madman who always acted lawless at school and outside, the guy who carried himself like some underworld boss. Rinji was acting like a spoiled kitten in front of this woman. The contrast was so jarring it made her uncomfortable. This wasn't the Rinji she knew. He's acting like a total mama's boy. Wait, how did I not notice this side of him before? Have you been behaving yourself at school? Of course. By the way, where's your girlfriend? Isn't she here today? You mean Karura? She's Rinji. Before he could finish, Karura returned from the school store with ice cream. The moment she saw him, she ran up and threw her arms around him. Ah, Karura, not here. Blushing, he gently pulled her off and turned to his mother. Mom, let me introduce you. This is my girlfriend, Karura. Huh? Rinji's mom? Karura froze for a moment, looking at the beautiful, smiling woman. Once she realized who she was, she clasped her hands together and bowed slightly. Nice to meet you, Auntie. I'm Karura, Rinji's future wife. Only Karura would introduce herself like that the first time meeting her boyfriend's mother. But Rinji's mother didn't seem angry at all. On the contrary, she looked very pleased with Karura's straightforwardness. Nice to meet you, Karura. The woman smiled. I'm Rinji's mother. It's not easy for him to find a girlfriend. Can you tell me how you two met? We met on the ship during the Kengan match. Karura said with a smile. We even fought each other. Kaguya. Wait, are you seriously telling his mom that you had a fight with her son when you first met? Aren't you afraid of making a bad impression? Even though Kaguya didn't know Karura well, she could tell this airheaded girl was just asking for trouble. Yet, Rinji's mother still didn't get upset. Instead, she looked nostalgic. On a ship. And you fought. That really does sound familiar. Huh? Nothing. So, Karura, what do you like about Rinji? Everything. I see. Hearing her cheerful answer, Rinji's mother couldn't help but smile. Rinji glanced at the time. The cheer team's performance was about to begin, so he said to his mom, Mom, I have to go participate in an event. I'll come back to you afterward. It's okay. Go on, Rinji. She said, placing a hand on Karura and Hayasaka's shoulders. I have company here. Don't worry about me. Alright, I'll be going then. Oh, right. Do you want to talk to your dad? She asked. He's very curious about how you're doing. Huh? She pulled out her phone from her bag, dialed a number, and handed it to Rinji. Rinji took the phone. As soon as he answered, that annoying voice came through. Son. Long time no see. Have you missed your father? No. Rinji instantly showed a look of disdain. How can you not? I miss you so much. I heard from Kaname that you're going to perform in a girl's uniform at the sports festival. Ha 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 ha. I'll be laughing for a year. Shut up. Rinji cursed and immediately handed the phone back to his mother. She took it and comforted his father through the phone as his dramatic voice cried out, "Ah! My son hates me. What do I do? I'm having a midlife crisis." There. It's fine. She consoled him, chatted briefly, then hung up. Kaguya, who had been watching all this from the side, had a blank expression. Not a single member of this family was normal. Rinji's mother might actually be the most normal one. Noticing Hayasaka nearby, Kaguya leaned over and whispered, "Hayasaka, now's a great chance." Huh? Attack the horse before the general. If you want to win over Rinji, you have to start with those close to him. Judging by how he acts like a mama's boy, winning over his mom is clearly the best strategy. Make a good impression on her. With that, Kaguya put on a textbook perfect smile. Andy, nice to meet you. I'm the vice president of the student council with Rinji. My name is Shinomiya Kaguya. Hello, Shinomiya. Rinji's mother replied. This isn't the best place to watch. Let me take you somewhere with a better view. Thank you, Shinomiya. Kaguya led the way, followed by Rinji's mother, Hayasaka, and Karura. They arrived at the very front row of the gymnasium stands. There sat George, along with Fujiwara Chika's father, Fujiwara Daiki, and the father of Shirogane Miyuki. Chapter 330, Fujiwara Chika is digging her own grave. When Rinji's mother arrived with the girls, George quickly noticed them and waved. Madam, over here. She saw him and walked over to their side, taking the center seat with Hayasaka and Karura on either side. You're here too, madam. Yes, just checking in to see how Rinji's doing at school. She said. I've heard a lot about this place from Kaname. Thank you for looking after him. No need to thank me. He's your son and the boss's son too. Of course we take care of him. George smiled kindly with his weathered face. Did the boss come? He was busy, so I came alone. I see. It's been a long time since we saw him. How is he doing? Thanks for asking. Since retiring, he's been living a quiet life. Farming a bit, chatting with old colleagues. The days are peaceful. She smiled. The world's changed. It's not like the old days where you had to rely on strength to survive. True. Maybe it's just our generation still stuck in the old battlefield mindset. George smiled, half in relief. The Colombian conflict with FARC, the Great Purge. And the 1999 war that set our place in history. Back then, the boss led us misfits and shook the world. Those intense days feel like they just happened yesterday. Indeed. Sometimes we old-timers, sitting on piles of cash with nothing to do, still hope the boss would rise again and lead us forward. But even if we climb higher, it wouldn't really change much now. George's smile turned slightly bitter. Maybe it's just us clinging to the idea of proving we're not outdated relics. He probably won't bother with those things anymore. I suppose. He deserves to enjoy this hard-won peace. George looked out toward the field, where Rinji had joined the cheer squad and was getting ready. Time flies. The boss's son has grown up. Yeah. He looks like you, but his personality is all the boss. Defiant but without that terrifying pressure. They had different paths growing up. She smiled. His father only had one road to walk. But Rinji has the chance to find a different one. His own. Alright, the performance is about to start. Everyone, get ready. On the field, Captain Kazano was doing final prep with the cheer team. He was already wearing the Shuchine girl's uniform, which barely fit over his bulging muscles. Paired with bright lipstick on his rugged face, the sight was ridiculous. Koyasu Tsubame had on the boy's uniform, and even in male clothing, her face was strikingly cute. Ishigami, meanwhile, looked miserable in the girl's uniform. Kaguya had lent him that outfit. Wearing it was incredibly stuffy. But what made it worse was the shame. He was a guy in drag in front of the entire school. No matter what others thought, he felt like a pervert. Ugh. I can already imagine what the students are thinking. No wonder Renji doesn't like this. It's so humiliating. In that moment, Ishigami understood Rinji. "Hey, Ishigami." Captain Kazano, in his girl's uniform, turned and asked, "Have you seen Rinji?" "Rinji? He was just here." Ishigami blinked. They had greeted each other a few minutes ago. How did he vanish so fast? The captain didn't see him? Nope. Don't tell me he ran off. Ishigami speculated. He already knew how much Rinji hated cross-dressing. Actually, not just Rinji. He himself wanted to run away right now. "Rinji-kun hasn't left?" A girl's voice cut in. Ishigami turned to see Fujiwara Chika in a thin gym uniform. "Fujiwara-senpai? What are you doing here?" "I saw Rinji-kun staring blankly at the girl's uniform earlier, so I gave him a little help." A mischievous smile crept onto Fujiwara's face. "What did you do?" Ishigami's eyes slowly lowered. He saw several makeup brushes in Fujiwara's hand. "What did you do?" "Just a few small things." As her words landed, Rinji emerged from backstage. At that moment, every member of the cheer squad held their breath. A light makeup graced his refined face, with a hint of lavender eyeshadow at the corners of his eyes. A sharp yet alluring gaze shimmered with a mix of dominance and gentleness. He looked like a queen. Wearing a girl's uniform, Rinji strutted gracefully into the stunned group, lifted his chin slightly, and spoke in a haughty feminine voice, "Why are you all staring at me like that?" No one could respond for a moment. Ishigami slowly turned back toward Fujiwara and pointed at Rinji. His face was asking, "What have you done?"